Welcome to Friday coverage, America's Day at the Races on FS2. Good to have you with us here in South Ozone Park, New York. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling here in studio. Terrific card this afternoon. We're going to have the latter half of this card here from New York and from out in Hot Springs, Arkansas at Oaklawn. Feature today is a very good one, this 8th race today. We're going to start with a horse I know went on turf last time out, but he's a dirt horse with strong back form. Law Professor, is he the same horse?
Well, that's really the question. And is there anybody here that's moved up to be at the level or at least close to the level he was at? And Law Professor's a little bit of a question mark. He didn't run well in the turf, even though he's handled it in the past. He didn't run well at Keeneland. That was back in October. But he didn't finish third in our Woodward, his race coming back, an effort that would make it pretty tough to beat here.
Yeah, that was Zandon who won that race, who would go on to the Breeders' Cup Classic. Film star, very talented runner, was runner-up in this spot. And even though it was only 3 starts ago, big question marks with how he ran in that next start. Now, on his best day, he is not even close. A mile the horse to beat in here.
Yeah, I agree. But there are some talented horses here and horses that we know are in good form, and that's really the question mark. A lot of horses that can handle a wet track. I guess Olympic Dreams did last time. Maybe he's the biggest question mark on the wet track because in the past he has struggled with it a bit.
Well, a horse I know that you like a little bit too, Tabawatch. He has the rail for Brad Cox. He only missed by a nose last time out. We're going to take a look back on December the 28th and what a nasty beat this was when it was in this race as well. He'll come back today. He ran 4th.
Yeah, and he feels like the one that may have the most upside of this group. And it depends what price he's going to be. But at the right price, I could take him as a horse to move forward a little bit. This is incredible. Watch this finish, and I defy anybody to tell me that you thought the other horse won. He won the Bob of Bobs. And even Winnett, who feels like he's a controlling speed, but he's got to get the 9 furlongs.
Tabawatch horse the 5 on the outside. Looks like he's home, got it done. Somehow he lost that Bob. Just the worst possible way to lose at the wire after he ran a terrific race. But you know Brad Cox with horse now turning 4, looks like he's starting to come into his own.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's a lightly raced horse. He felt like a horse that was going to be very tough to beat in our Discovery. He wasn't bet that heavily. Now, the winner of that race, Croupi, while a long shot, is running on Saturday at Gulfstream Park in their big race. But he didn't run that well that day, but he ran a lot better in that race. And I wonder if he's one that has some real upside for a barn that had a great year. Did not win the Eclipse Award for top trainer last night, as expected. Bill Mott, and deservedly so, won the award.
Yeah, 4th Eclipse Award as outstanding trainer for the Hall of Famer Bill Mott. We'll talk more Eclipse Awards a little bit later on in the program. Here is what's ahead race-wise, presented by Claiborne Farm. Late pick 4 on the sloppy going here in New York. Races 6 through 9 coming up, including that featured 8th race with Law Professor and Tabawatch. And from Oaklawn, we'll check in with Paula Duca in just a little bit. Muddy conditions in Hot Springs. Start of the late pick 5 begins in race 6. You can play it all by getting signed up. Started right there with NYRA Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. That offer for new members. $200 deposit match, new customer bonus when you punch in match 200. That promo code at sign up. Again, right there at NYRABets.com. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. It has been difficult weather out in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Good to see them back. What did that mean for horses trying to get in some workouts even, just to be ready and get race fit? We'll have more on that when we check it with Paula Duca right after a break. Back with you on our Friday coverage, America's Day at the Races on FS2. It's presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well, and that is a welcome sight, having action back at Oaklawn in Hot Springs, Arkansas. They've been hit with some very nasty weather, and they were out of commission from, I believe, the 13th of January until just earlier this week, which not only impacted racing, but horses' ability to even train on the track.
And I think people should understand it is a state park, and because it's a state park, they can't use anything to work on the racetrack that perhaps would prevent it from freezing or work on it, and that's one of the reasons they often have problems with their track. It's not an Oaklawn situation as much as a situation beyond their control.
Well, great to have them back, and hopefully the worst of that weather, that is in the rearview mirror. Let's go live to Hot Springs, check in with Paul LaDuca for more. Paulie?
Yeah, Greg. It's been a tumultuous, 11 days here at Oaklawn Racecourse. The racetrack has been closed. It's been beyond freezing temperatures to the point where people haven't even been able to travel out of here through Dallas, through Memphis, through Atlanta as well. But a lot of the horses have kept busy at the Equicizer. And, reading from the press release that came out, Paul Holtis, now who does the Equicizer, when you look at it, is after the 11-day break, the track initially shuttered from training on January 13th. So it's been a minute. Now, Paul just said Tuesday morning that the volume is approximately 4 times higher. They used to get about 30 to 40 horses a day. Now over 150 horses daily are using the Equicizer. Obviously, Holtis, ex-trainer, now is running the Equicizer. The demand has been so great. They expanded the hours from 5:30 to 9:30 to accommodate a lot of these horses that were trying to get to the racetrack. And, when I talked to Paul, I was, asking him, and he said, listen, Dwayne Lucas uses it, Steve Asmussen, and Ron Moquette on the regular. Ron was telling me, it's the kind of thing where maybe your rider doesn't show up to work out a horse. You can still get him on the Equicizer and to get some, necessary exercise to get their blood flowing and going. Obviously, these horses, Greg, for 11 days are chomping at the bit to get on the race course. Mixed results, 3 favorites and a 66-1 shot so far to start off the card.
Yeah, a little chaos early on already. Let's bring in Maggie Wolfendale for the first time this afternoon and get Maggie's thoughts in terms of Maggie not being able to get over that racetrack, instead train with his Equicizer. Tell us how that impacts horses.
Well, for the older horses, Greg, I'm sure it's a little bit of a reprieve. Sometimes a little less training is a welcome thing for these older horses where the muscle memory is already established. They don't need to go out there and be hard-pressed and get in that routine as much. Sometimes being away from the track is good for their mental state as well. It's more the younger horses that might see ill effects from not being able to get out to the track and train. They don't have that established muscle memory, and furthermore, horses are creatures of habit, so they get enshrined in these routines, and they welcome going out to the track and getting that mental stimulation every day. So sometimes with the younger horses, that's where you may see them maybe go out the first day that they can train and do a little too much against the trainer's wishes. So we'll see if it has any effects on these newly turned 3-year-olds as that Southwest postponed from this weekend, and we'll see it that first weekend in February now, how the horses being trained at Oaklawn deal with heading in to that major Derby prep.
All right, Maggie, thanks. Yeah, that Triple Crown Trail impacted slightly, moving that Southwest forward just a little bit, or I guess ahead.
They're not moving the Derby, though. They're going to keep the Derby the
It's
same
going to stay
day.
first Saturday in May.
They're so selfish.
Latest I've heard. Late pick 4 coming up here in New York when we come back, and that right now is our current favorite. Sagamore Mischief for trainer Tom Morley as the inside post has Manny Franco. We'll have more when we come back.
Olympiad leads American Revolution. Olympiad gets the gold in the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with NYRA Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with NYRA Bets.
Nothing stood in his way. War of Will won the Preakness.
At the line, War of Will, that's a photo for the win. Hey, 650,000.
War of Will, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on our FS2 coverage, America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part. We can play all the action at NYRA Bets, and today, take home your share of an additional $2,000. Hit the late pick 4 at Aqueduct, and you'll share the pool of $2,000 with everyone who does win. This bonus available to new and existing players. You do have to opt in at NYRABets.com. So 6th race will kick off the pick 4 sequence, $40,000 claiming 6.5 furlong sprint. And even though the 3 is favored right now, the one we showed you going to break, as you mentioned to me as we were off camera, it's likely going to be the 2 business model for David Jacobson, who will be favored by post time. We start with American Gentleman. It's going to break from post 4.
A little hard to find these horses in here. Listen, his last race wasn't that bad. Overall, he's probably not quick enough, but not outrageous.
Other part of the entry, outside post, Flint Ridge.
I'm not sure which one they're betting. I think he's the more likely of the entry. I wasn't enamored with either of them, but the barn has woken up a little bit.
Business model just went by. He should be the favorite. And here's the one with the rail, Sagamore Mischief.
The worry with business model is the lack of pace. As far as Sagamore Mischief, I guess the worry is maintaining the form. No knock on Tom Morley, but he had been in very good form before. His last race, tougher, but not good.
More on Gemography, whose chances improved with a scratch, and here we'll get back to him. The 6 went by as well. Royal Trist. Silly Key is at 6-1.
Yeah, I think Silly Key has a chance if the race falls apart. I like Gemography.
And you believe that's the 4-horse.
I think he's the speed.
Could
You
be the
know,
lone speed.
you like Noda earlier today, and he won, and he benefited from another speed scratching out of the race. It's a very similar thing with Gemography here. With the number 5 Lobster coming out, he could be the main speed.
See if Ruben Silvera is able to take advantage. Free Equibase past performances for today's races. Available at NYRA.com/TV schedule. Go there for more for all the stats on the horses, jockeys, and trainers. 2 minutes to post in this pick 4. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
And we'll check in with the drop down, kind of the main drop down runner in here, who, as you guys were mentioning, probably will go off as the post-time favorite, and that's number 2, Business Model. Now, he is a deep closer, to say the least, and I don't think that's going to necessarily bode well for today's racetrack, as you guys were kind of mentioning. Furthermore, I've just seen him look better. Now, a lot of times, as I say, with these David Jacobson horses, it plainly doesn't matter what I see from them physically. They still are able to run, but he's just kind of lightened up, gotten a little dull in his coat overall, whereas a couple months ago, that was not the case whatsoever. So I just don't like dynamics, and I'm not in love with his appearances here with that, albeit drop in class, which I do think does at least make him a player. Number 3, Sagamore Mischief. He's run for this condition, and being a Maryland bred, taking advantage of Maryland bred restricted stakes last time out. I will say, because obviously I know I'm trained by my husband, he did not handle that racetrack. have run a handful of horses in Maryland. They have not shipped well and run well over it, and have needed some time to recover from running down there as well. I wish he looked fitter, though. He's the one with a bit of a break in his form, just looks a little soft around the edges, though I will say I like his energy. He's very forward and in hand, which is very typical of him. So look for him to be forwardly placed, and Manny Franco going to have to likely use him from that inside post position with Gemography right to his outside, who I think is a serious player in here. But I'm going to try with a horse who's a bit of a price here, who loves a wet track, and that's number 6, Royal Tryst. I know he's a little tough to trust, but when the track's usually a little on the wetter side, he does tend to run well, and he's maintaining good physical form despite having run quite frequently throughout last year and into this one now. Greg?
Yeah, it's no doubt. He had a busy 2023, the 6-horse Royal Tryst. 16 starts. 1 win, 1 second.
He makes a lot of starts. He needs the race to come apart a bit. The problem I have, and obviously I agree with Maggie, likes a wet track. My problem is if the race comes apart, aren't horses like Business Model and Silly Key just a little bit better than he is? That was my concern. His running style, there are better closers in the air, but he's a very big price, and I obviously respect Maggie's opinion, though. She said a horse or her husband were not that fit. I can't remember because I saw Tom the other day.
You just
and
went there.
I didn't think he looked fit, but what do I know?
Maggie, that was all Andy, by the way.
Greg put me up to it, Maggie.
I did not. There's a look at Gemography. So this one, and you've liked this. We've seen this horse on this circuit year after year after year. 8-year-old, I know you've liked him for a while. Might get exactly what he wants today with Lobster coming out.
I got a little. Oh, great! So the one's running purse money only, and one of the worst rules in racing is not the purse money only is a good rule because you'll bet the 1A, you don't want the 1. But the fact that we still have coupled entries in 2024, it's just ridiculous. People want to bet on the horse they want to bet on. They want to get the odds on the horse they want. They don't want to be carried by somebody else. And if you like the 1 here. This is incredibly frustrating because even if the 1 runs if the 1 runs nowhere, you say, well, it saved me money.
Or what if
but you got so annoyed worrying he was going to win the race that you couldn't even watch the race.
What if he interferes with a horse you like?
It's just there's just so much. It's just a terrible. It's not the purse money only rule. That is to protect the bettors. And is it a perfect rule? No, but it's the best rule. Because there are people who like the 1A and bet them, and they don't deserve to get the 1 as well. You're protecting the bettors. It doesn't help us. Hurts us. We lose the money, so it's not a rule by us anyway. It's a state rule. The fact that we have tried to get rid of entries and we can't get rid of entries, that's the problem.
Well, Flint Ridge comes out, so the 1 stays in, but again, running 4 purse money only, and that's what that conversation was about. Favorite, as we expected, as the multi-race wager pool suggested, Business Model, the 2, has become the post-time favorite here for David Jacobson. Isaac Castile will be aboard, and he hopes to take advantage of potentially someone trying to go after Gemography.
Yeah, and I mean, that's sort of after the 1 scratch, the 8's gone, the 5's gone. It's kind of up to Tom's horse, Sagamore Mischief, and Manny Franco to be forward, and they got the rail. So it's not a particularly great spot in them, but an enormous amount of the speed in this race has come out, an enormous amount.
There's the favorite with Isaac Castile. Pick 4 starts here. Again, a $2,000 hit and split bonus at Naira Bets that you need to opt into to take advantage of. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin to get us started.
And they're off. Silly Key's got speed towards the outside, and at the rail, here comes Sagamore Mischief, and now Sagamore Mischief with a neck in front. Going right with this rival, that's going to be Gemography, and just off of them, here comes American Gentleman, who splits rivals. At purse money only is now 3rd. Silly Key is to the outside here, is going to be tracking in that 4th position. Then comes Royal Tryst, and the trailer. That's Business Model. They're chasing Sagamore Mischief. Sagamore Mischief has got the lead. Gemography is tracking right there in 2nd. Silly Key is losing some ground. Royal Tryst, and from the back, Business Model starts the rally there with American Gentleman. They've been to the VAR turn now, 23 seconds flat for that opening quarter mile. Sagamore Mischief and Gemography, they continue to duke it out, and Gemography is coming up alongside, and Gemography now puts a nose in front. Coming right back to the inside is Sagamore Mischief. Splitting rivals, Business Model, and Isaac Castillo, they're in pursuit, but that group of 4 is still 6 lengths back from the leading duo. They get set to reach the top of the stretch, 46-4 for that half-mile time, and the battle continues up front. Royal Tryst with a lot of momentum down towards the inside. It's Gemography who's who's got the lead. Gemography tries to splint career. Here comes Royal Trist down towards the inside. Business Model with the late rally. Dropping back is Sagamore Mischief. Will Gemography hold on? A 16th to go. Gemography needs a line. Royal Trist is lunging late. Royal Trist on the inside. Royal Trist up in time. Royal Trist gets up over Gemography, then Business Model, and Sagamore Mischief in 1 minute 19 and 4.
Royal Trist runs down a big effort from Gemography, trained by Marcelo Arena. 7th career win for the 6-year-old.
Happy for Marcellus, and a great pick by Maggie coming up the rail. And it's funny because we saw a horse moving around the 2 or 3 path earlier, but a lot of horses running inside haven't been effective. Gemography probably ran the best race, got put to a lot of pressure when the number 3 horse went, and wasn't able to hold off Royal Trist.
Tough beat here.
Yes, I made a nice bet on the 4.
6 down on the inside, 8-1 to start off this late pick 4. And Alicia Ruiz keep working, and just up in time for the win. 6-4-2-3 here in the 6th. And that's a big upset.
Yes, that will blow up this pick 6 a little bit. We've had, I think, we had an $11 horse in the first race. There's a carryover 18,000 and change. We had the favorite winning the second leg, but this horse, longest shot on the board. And don't forget, he's a bigger price than that in multi-race bets because the 1 was scratched. It was a relatively short price. So this horse is a big price. This is a potential pick 6 buster. And you need to get another horse home, though. You need to beat the 8 in the last race. It's going to be a heavy, heavy favorite.
Prices from this one momentarily. We're going to head to Oakland. 6-4-2-3 once again here in this first leg of the late pick 4 at Aqueduct as we head back to Hot Springs. 4th race from Oaklawn. Maiden special weight, all looking for that first win. 6 furlong sprint, and the 4 taking a ton of money. And the last time that we saw this filly ran a huge effort, it was at Churchill. It's back in May 2nd of last year. Long time away. Here's Hurricane Fire to kick things off.
Coming out of a maiden claiming race, moving up to maiden specials. Didn't run badly, but would have to improve.
Feeling my oats. Used to be very quick. Still should be forward.
Maybe forward in here, but not good enough to be competitive.
17-1. With Luis Quinones aboard. Colin for dollars, start number 2, and claimed big step up in class.
Huge step up for this horse, but claimed by somebody who's a pretty decent trainer, Alan Mulligan.
It took some money against that easier company, but first time out.
Obviously, have to improve dramatically.
Way the horse to beat. Generous Lover. Can she get back to what she did in that second start back in May of last year?
And you're taking a super short price on a horse that's off 9 months. I'm guessing that there must be good workouts or something, but that's a short price.
Queen Clancy, a couple of seconds in 2 starts.
I guess the thing you have to like of this horse is the cut back in distance, turning back. Could be a little bit interesting here.
Yeah, 2 players on the outside. One of them Blue Squall for Randy Morse.
I mean, Blue Squall seems dangerous and ran very well in a sloppy track. I'm surprised the horse isn't favored, to be honest, but might be by post time. You never know there.
Big price, too, on one who's a major player. Blinkers on and Lasix for this D. Wayne Lucas filly.
Yeah, I mean, the last race gives this horse a big chance. You say getting the Lasix may help. Doesn't have a lot of speed, and the 4 will be more forwardly placed. But I'm going to be curious. I didn't look at multis, but I wonder if by post time the 8 Blue Squall will be favored. You do see some late odds drops.
Minute to post coming up, and it will be Julian Leperoux riding for Lindsay Schultz on Generous Lover. Long time away. Let's go to Paula Duca for more.
Yeah, I think why the Lindsay Schultz trainee here, Generous Lover's taking a ton of money. Obviously, the workouts in the morning have been pretty fast, but if you look at this horse's last race, I know, she's been off since May, but they went 20-4 and 44 and change in that race, and she showed a ton of speed. She was right up on the pace. A huge effort, what I read Ortiz Jr. Now, that was in the Greg Foley barn. Lindsay has taken over this horse at least since, you would say, December 8th, when the horse did have her first horse under her care. This is Michael Dubb here, part of a little bit of an ownership as well. So a lot of money on the 6-5 shot, and I think the reason why, Greg, is when you look at the 8 and 9, they're newly turned 3-year-olds. They were just 2-year-olds, 26, 27 days ago. So, Lemon Muffin on the outside, blinkers go on, and Lasix and Blue Squall, who I like a little bit more, they've both shown a little bit of hang too as well. So I do think Blue Squall, does have a nice race over a sloppy racetrack. But I think the horse you're looking on your screen, Queen Clancy, she's a 4-year-old. We've seen a horse cut back in distance already win today at a big price. And I think that could be a little bit of advantage, especially with, the non-training for the 11 days. Louis Fuentes is up for Donnie Van Hemel and a filly by Jimmy Creed. So I just think the 4 and the 5 got a bigger advantage over the 8 and 9 here just because they're 4-year-olds over 3-year-olds. And I don't know about 6-5 on the 4. I think she's the one to beat, but I'll take the better price with the 5.
And the 5, Queen Clancy, that's for Toby Keith's Dream Walkin' Farms. Actually going to cut back in distance for her 3rd start. There she is.
I like a turn back, so I'm going to have to bet a couple dollars to win on that horse. And one thing about the 4, Paul mentioned the pace he came out of, and even for Churchill, that's a fast pace. With the big run-ups, when you see 20 and 4, it's about 21 and 2 or something at other tracks. But the pace held together in that race. So fast as it was, the speeds held together. Maybe that's in the benefit of the 4. Maybe the speed just held together that day.
Trained, again, the 4 by Lindsay Schultz, moving to her barn. She's coming off a career best year, over $1.7 million in earnings. And this is a trainer who just had her first ever career win, January 8th of 22. It's been a rapid rise for her.
No question. She has some nice horses, too.
Wayland Springs, one of them, got her first ever graded stakes win in the Philip Iceland back in August at Monmouth.
Island.
I
don't want the family
for
to be
Shortleaf
watching.
Stable.
Really? Shortleaf Stable running at Monmouth. I like that. So used to seeing him at Oaklawn, right?
Generous Lover, the 4, favored, but several others, including that 5, Queen Clancy, and then the 8 and 9 outside. Major players here.
Yeah, I mean, the 4, especially before, and the 8, I'm a little bit more forward. I think the 9 and the 5, they got to close a little bit in this race. But I think that Paulie's got something with the 5 a little bit in the turn back. I like that.
Matt Dinnerman, the call. Here's the 4th from Oaklawn.
We're ready to go. And Laroff. Good beginning. Feeling My Oats gets the first call. Hurricane Fire rushed out of there to grab the lead, though, and Hurricane Fire is quickest from a line of runners. Feeling My Oats is there, along with Generous Lover, Blue Squall in that group, Queen Clancy, Lemon Muffin passing runners to claim second. Those 5 are all bunched up, and the trailer is calling for dollars in the early stages with a half mile to go. Hurricane Fire leads the pack by just a neck. Lemon Muffin right there to apply the heat. They're a length and a half clear of Generous Lover in the 3rd position, saving ground. Blue Squall alongside of her. Queen Clancy back in the 5th position between horses, niggled along just a little bit off the other 2's heels, and a gap of a length and a half to Calling for Dollars takes the second last spot. Feeling My Oats was prominent early, is dropped to the back. They hit the quarter pole. Battle on the lead continues between Hurricane Fire and Lemon Muffin. These 2 are off the turn as one, with Blue Squall chasing right behind them. Generous Lover not going to get it done. Approaching the furlong pole. 2-horse race now. Lemon Muffin has to fend off Blue Squall, who's into second. Hurricane Fire left behind in third. Match race 16th left. Blue Squall gaining on Lemon Muffin. Blue Squall with the head lead. A half length now, and Blue Squall breaks the maiden. Blue Squall over Lemon Muffin. Hurricane Fire and Generous Lover.
Rematch from these 2 3-year-old fillies back on December 31st, and Blue Squall turns the tables. Had finished 3rd behind a 2nd place Lemon Muffin that day.
Looked like the coach, Dwayne Lucas, was going to get the money. Did a little drift there under Nick Juarez. Right in here, you're going to see getting ready for a little herd. Come on out. And you know what? Torres was no problem. He came running by at the end. Felt like,
It's what we're used to seeing at Oaklawn, right? Outside
runners.
By.
Yeah. Nate just got away, and a good job. Good job by Juarez, frankly, being more forward with the 9. Not that he won the race, and you could see the whole way. Generous Lover didn't break that well, and really never had any run.
8-1 back at Aqueduct. Started the late pick forward. It's Royal Tryst with the 7th win of his career. Talked about the big workload from this horse last year, which is 1 for 16. Now 1 for 2 in 2024.
And while I'm sorry I lost, it was a good call by Maggie, but also happy to see Marcelo get the win here. A good guy, so nice to see him get the win. It's tough. And got the wet track and got it done, staying on the inside. Those apprentices, they stay to the rail. Sometimes they're detriment, but in here, didn't hurt. What do you think? Maybe would have won by more. Probably not.
Royal Tryst. 8-1 upset to start off the pick 4, 1860. Their gemography business model. Sagamore Mischief showing that early speed. Winds up 4th in this spot. Cross country, pick 5, begins in the next race coming up, 7th at Aqueduct. And it's New York bred's first allowance condition. 6 furlong sprint coming up. Ghost Bustin' coming off a maiden win, making start number 3. Part of a few speeds in this race.
Wow, you like Ghost Bustin'. I don't have the horse in the top 4. Isn't this a name that is sort of just destined to be overbet its entire career? The favorite in doubles by a lot is the number 7, Sandy's Garden, for what it's worth. Second choice is Ghost Bustin'.
Can we play the song? Ray
We could
Parker
sing
Jr.?
it. We could sing it.
Here's the cross country pick 5 sequence, 7th, 8th at Aqueduct.
Wasn't Hammer? Didn't Hammer
Ray
have something
Parker
to do?
Jr.
Okay, I thought.
8.
What am I thinking of?
Oh, I thought that was it. 8th, 9th, and 10th at Oaklawn. Final 3 legs of the cross country. So comprising these 2 tracks, good luck. And the wager begins in just about 16 minutes. We're going to take a timeout. Hardware for Cody. What a night for Cody's Wish and his team. We'll have more on the Eclipse Awards from Thursday night down in South Florida when we come back.
Spirited, strong, speedy. Just a few of the S words Rockridge owner Larray Visagi uses to describe the first foals of stallion Disco Partner.
It's a horse that, with what we've seen on foals so far, there will be a lot of upside in this horse in the next couple of years once this first baby starts running.
Time flies if you're having fun or reliving Disco Partner's back-to-back wins in the Jaipur Invitational Stakes. In the 2017 running, he stopped the clock in the 6 furlong turf race in world record-setting time.
Holy mackerel!
105.67.
They're off.
When he won the Jaipur again in 2018, it had been elevated from Grade 3 to Grade 2 status.
And Disco Partner did it again.
His speed wasn't the only astonishing thing about Disco Partner.
He was actually a horse that ran 33 times, so if you ever wanted something sound, this will be the horse.
From those 33 starts, Disco Partner won 11 races, including 4 stakes, placed in 12 additional stakes, and amassed nearly $1.5 million in earnings. Disco Partner was bred by outstanding New York breeder Patricia Generazio, who is now supporting the stallion with some of her best mares.
He himself is a very balanced horse. He's not a big horse, but balance I think is what helped him to be so sound in his career. And you see that in a lot of his young foals, that they are balanced and they are very, very interesting. And I think you'll be very happy as they mature.
For more information on the New York Thoroughbred Breeding and Development Fund, go to nybreds.com. Look at this advantage. 19% increase in New York bred maiden purses in 2026 coming up. So it pays to have a New York bred. Never been a better time to have a New York bred foal. So for information on how to qualify your foal, visit nyra.com/nybreds.
I could give out Najee Thompson's cell number if you want that.
He'd be happy to have that. He
would
would answer every call.
He would answer every call. Except
He's
mine.
the best.
Except mine after that.
7th coming up. Again, this kicks off the cross-country pick 5 with Oaklawn. New York bred, first allowance condition sprint at 6 furlongs. And this is our favorite right now, Ghost Bustin'. First time in against winners today in start number 3.
I don't know if he's faster than Sandy's Garden and Easy Play. I don't like the position on the rail. I don't like betting horses off maiden wins. I'll be honest with you. I think he's not likely to be favored. The favorite's probably going to be Sandy's Garden. You like this horse. I do not. We have a completely different opinion here. But go ahead. What's your case?
Here he is finishing. I just thought there was a lot more upside with this filly. Lightly raced, obviously. And, in this win, she didn't get some easy type of lead and just run off. She battled neck and neck. I know it was a 64-1 shot. Puts that one away and then held off the latecomers here to finish. I think she moves forward off this effort.
She has to, in my opinion, and I wouldn't bet her to do it. But here's something I don't understand. Why is Sandy's Garden 5-2 and Easy Play 8-1? And they are significantly different prices in the doubles. They hit the wire together. They're both speeds the outside. Easy Play is outside of Sandy Garden, which isn't a bad thing. I guess one of the things with Sandy's Garden is the switch from Jackie Davis to Dylan Davis. That might be one of the reasons that people are betting this horse. But I think the 8 is a much better bet at this price.
Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
And several of those horses you guys mentioning speed types, and that definitely makes the things a little difficult for the horse taking some money in number 1, Ghost Bustin'. Now, based upon form, I am more in the camp than Andy is. I don't see how this filly is able to control things like she did last time out with the presence of Easy Play and Sandy's Garden. And she's going to have to do it from the rail and face winners for the first time. On the flip side, having looked at her, she looks best in this field. She continues to get stronger with each and every start. She's very much your typical Bustin' Stones, maybe a little bit shorter in stature, but just as broad and massive and robust from a muscle-bound standpoint. And I think she has improved, at least physically, coming out of that race. Just how is she going to deal with dynamics today? That is my biggest concern with her. And furthermore, I've seen Bustin' Stones handle wet tracks, and I don't see anything prohibiting her from dealing with it today in just her 3rd start and first try over a surface like such. Number 4, George's Vice. Not much to recommend on form other than she's in the barn of Linda Rice, and she's riding a win streak into this. And she looked a bit limited, after returning from a layoff off of what looked to be maybe a suspect claim, and then she wins, and she wins again, improving her figure, but against a non-2 life. Field for 16, but Linda's good at this, striking while the iron's hot. And I just think she looks really well turned out here. Maybe she is heading in the right direction. Maybe she'll appreciate maybe a horse, as she is a horse that I don't want to say bred more towards turf, but showed that she didn't mind the turf and has more of that turf look to her physically. Maybe she handles the going out there today. We'll see. But her and the 1, Ghost Bustin' here, Greg, definitely the picks of the paddock.
All right, Maggie, thank you. George's Vice, more pace. Huge step up in class.
I don't think she's
would need a big move forward.
I don't think she's fast enough to compete early in this race. I know she had a big step forward last time. I still don't think that race is good enough to win. I mean, if you like her, you should bet her. I tip my hat to this Linda and this horse if this horse wins.
But positive sign for Maggie, looks the part, and obviously Linda Rice feeling she deserves this move forward as well. Here's Easy Play, more pace, and the furthest outside runner of the speeds.
Yeah, I don't understand why she's a big price in here. I mean, she's benefit from being outside. That race last time was, I thought she ran fine in there. She ran as well as the 7 did. I know the 7 gave the rider change, but I think she makes a lot of sense in the outside as a stalker, and she could be the speed of the speed. I guess it depends if Ghost Bustin' can keep up or not. We'll see how fast they go early. Tell you a horse that hasn't been mentioned, if you think they're going to go fast early, is Mim. And for what it's worth, the best buyer figure that Mim ever ran was on a muddy seal track back at Belmont, behind Tom Lee Conquest, who came back with a big win in her next start. And she blew the break last time, losing all chance. Otherwise, her figures are somewhat in line, and there's going to be a lot of pace here. She's not impossible, Mim, if you're looking for somebody to make a run.
Mim, the 5, she's 9-1 right now, and even though she did not win that day on that muddy seal track, she did run big. As you mentioned, second behind a next out winner, there she is. Jose Gomez will be aboard for the Jimmy Ferraro barn.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in love with her, but I think that she's an alternative if you're looking for somebody to try to close, and we saw the horse the last race close, so got the pace, but there's supposed to be pace in this race, so I can think of worse horses to bet on.
Who do you feel, as we see the riders come out, and there's Kendrick Carmouche, who will be on in those black and white silks, the 1, Ghost Bustin', still favored right now. Who do you believe is the best of the horses to take advantage of a hot pace?
The 5, Mim. I do.
Okay.
I think if you feel like this race is going to collapse, you're supposed to be betting Mim in here. Who should I bet to close in here if not her? I mean, honestly, looking through, I mean, I guess you think Velouz is okay. I think Velouz is slow. I don't like the race she's coming out of. She had to run the track last time, and she was a 3rd sort of by default in there. I don't try it again. It's more forward in there. Highway Harmony, maybe? I don't know, but she's probably wants a dry track. I think if you want to close her in this race, you want Mim. I don't think it's close.
Well, there's the Velouz you just touched on. Another one's going to try and come from off the pace in here. Last race was somewhat slow relative to some of the others in here. 3rd, beat less than 2 lengths, was wide that day. It was at this level, and it took her 12 starts to break her maiden. That was her first time against winners. See if she's more up to the challenge today. As we get a look at the connections, Jose Lezcano there with Easy Play, the 8.
Yeah, I think Easy Play is a very similar type horse to the number 7. Unless it's the rider change, and I get it, but Jackie's done well with this horse, and I don't see why it's supposed to be this big a swing. Even if you think, okay, Dylan's a more successful rider, et cetera, I don't understand why the 7 is that much shorter than the 8. That's all.
Yeah, Jackie Davis had been aboard. Her brother rides today with the 7 Sandy's Garden. Here's Ghost Bustin', Kendrick Carmouche.
Yeah, I was going to have to go from the rail. Is she fast enough to make the lead, and is she good enough to do it and beat this field?
Jorge Abreu trains Highway Harmony with Manny Franco.
I mean, I guess she's a little bit interesting 3rd off the layoff, but I would have hoped for a dry track to see if maybe that would help her out.
When she'd been successful, too, she was forward. Freddie Mo Factor at 35-1.
She's just, I mean, this race she's an addition, I think, to when they originally recorded it, and I just don't think she's good enough.
Curious move here from Linda Rice, one of the best barns on the circuit. Big jump up.
I guess she figures I'll take a shot at 9 winners of 1, see if she has a chance near. If not, I'll go back to claiming races. I don't think she fits.
The one from off the pace you like, Mim with Jose Gomez.
Well, she's not my top choice, but I think if you're looking for a closer, she has some real appeal, and she's run well in wet tracks.
Velouz. Mike Maselli, second off the claim.
It's a good form. I just thought she was a little slower than these, but if you really feel it's going to fall apart, she's one of the ones to look at.
And here we get into the other speed. Sandy's Garden, the 7, now favored at 2-1. And again, Dylan Davis will be aboard. I believe we're skipping the 7. We are. Here's the 8, more pace with Easy Play.
So she's already beat her in the post parade, Greg. So I picked the 8 in here, and I just don't understand the price differential between the 7 and 8. I'm glad I took the 8 because I thought I'd take the 7 if I didn't take the 8.
Trying to get the 9 outside, trained by Rudy Rodriguez.
Her form is just falling apart. Her last race, the sloppy seal track, was atrocious.
And there's the current favorite, the speedster Sandy's Garden.
Is it the rider change? Is that the reason for this? It's hard to justify it, right? I mean, this horse is was this horse the morning line favorite?
No.
Yeah, this is a hard favorite to this is hard to have expected this horse to be favored, at least to me.
Second choice morning line.
Okay.
Ghost Bustin' was morning line favorite.
I'm afraid of no ghosts.
Track stats, bet smarter, win bigger. Weekly Aqueduct track trends, stats, and betting insights. Go to NYRABets.com and get it all. Hopefully make you more successful at the windows as we look at Ghost Bustin'. He's always supremely confident. Kendrick Carmouche back on board off that maiden win. and we'll see what happens here. First time in against Winters. I was at 6.5, was able to win last time out.
Yeah, listen, we disagree about this horse, but I'll be honest, I didn't like this horse at all last time, and I was dead wrong about her last time, so I'm going to be dead wrong about her again today when she wins.
Been favorite each of the first 2 starts, run at least relative to the group she faced, very good those first 2 starts.
Yeah.
But it gets tougher the more successful you are, and now first time against Winters, we'll see what she can do from that inside post with all this other speed lined up.
Yeah, I think the pace scenario is not going to be positive for her.
Including with this one here. Dylan Davis. Not often you see Kendrick Carmouche give in to other pace.
Well, she's got to be fast enough. The other horses are naturally faster. So, I mean, the 7 and 8 are naturally faster. Now, of the 3 riders, Kendrick is the most aggressive between him and Dylan Davis and Jose Lezcano. But the 7 and 8 are naturally faster horses based on the races they've run.
To post. In this 7th, starts this cross-country pick 5. Back to Maggie.
Checking in with the 2 potential speeds towards the outside with number 7, Sandy's Garden. Yeah, she was taken out of the paddock last year, kind of kept away from the others, but keeping a lid on it. Every time I've seen her, she's actually fairly calm. So all things good with her. Physically looks great. I mean, one of the logical horses that also backs it up with the way that she looks physically. Now, number 8 in here, Easy Play, she's a big price, so I don't want to be too harsh on her. Sorry, 5-1. I need new contacts. Seriously, I thought that said 9-1 on the board. She's one that does get herself revved up. She was tough to saddle. They had to do her on the walk. She's gotten a bit washy. It's pretty cold today, and she just could look a bit better overall. But again, on paper, I see where there's things to like. Greg?
But races run on TV screens, not on paper. As we get set for post time here in the 7th. No reaction from Andy.
I'm not getting involved in that conversation. I can't. Well, we'll find out what happens with Ghostbusters. I'm kind of interested to see how this race is run because we have such divergent opinions. All of us do. Maggie likes the 4. I don't like the 4 at all.
1, 4, 7, 8, all want to be forward. What gives here from a pace scenario? Keep your eyes on who gets to the front early. Cross country, pick 5 starts here. Let's go upstairs to Chris Griffin.
George's Vice. Easy Play. Try It Again. Last to load to the outside. Try It Again goes in. All set. And they're off. Easy Play and Try It Again. Right out to the front on the far outside, and Ghostbustin's got speed as well. George's Vice is in between horses. It's a scramble on for the front. Almost 6 across the racetrack. Is joining them in between horses is Sandy's Garden. The one taking off the pace is going to be Highway Harmony, but it's a quartet up the backstretch here on the front end. Ghostbustin' has got a nose in front. George's Vice is right there in between horses. Sandy's Garden's going to be 3 wide. Saving ground on the inside is Highway Harmony, is tucked right to the inside here in 4th. And following that move, here comes Mim, who's tracking from 5th, is to the inside of Easy Play, still tightly bunched. 23 seconds flat for the opening quarter mile. Losing some ground was Try It Again, is trying to re-rally. Balloose is on the move. Balloose is coming up right on these leaders, now is right in behind that leading group, and Freddie Mo Factor is the trailer. Ghostbustin' is still in front, and Ghostbustin' still with a neck lead. George's Vice with every shot here from second. Sandy's Garden out in the center of the racetrack, and here comes Sandy's Garden in between horses. George's Vice and Ghostbustin' still at the rail, keeps finding Mim with a late rally up on the grandstand side. It is now Sandy's Garden who takes command. Sandy's Garden is in front. Ghostbustin' is not done. A late run here from Mim. Sandy's Garden is up by a length and a half. Sandy's Garden, Dylan Davis again. Sandy's Garden wins it. Ghostbustin' trying to hold off an oncoming Mim. Then came Highway Harmony. And Balloon.
Sandy's Garden with the win, coming off the pace today. A horse that likes to be forward, forced to try and do it a different way with all this pace in here.
Yeah, she rated early, and she was able to stalk on the outside, but having the outside post really helped her, whereas Kendrick really had no choice but to have to go hard. And I will say that She finished second, narrowly holding off second on Mim. Need a little 7.5, but wouldn't have been lucky to get it because Ghost Bustin' did all the dirty work in here. But I think this is one where the post positions had a big effect on things. Because of the post positions, Kendrick had to work so hard with Ghost Bustin', whereas Dylan was able to be a little bit more patient in here and rate and get it done. They're probably the best horse, but Ghost Bustin' ran well here and better than I expected, to be honest with you. And Mim had her chance. She just was a mediocre suck-up in this race. Should have at least been second. And Magnus right about the 8. The 8 didn't do any running.
7-1-5-2, I believe, for fourth.
Yes,
And
correct.
it was the favorite, Sandy's Garden, by a small margin. To get the win here in this 7th, Dylan Davis for Joseph Lee. And his 5-year-old mare now 5 wins from 14 starts. Prices when we get back. We're going to head back over to Oaklawn. 5th race coming up, 6 furlong sprint. Phillies mares 4 and up, who have never won 3 or have not won a race since July the 26th. That's the condition in this $10,000 claiming race, where right now it's the 4, Essential Business, who is the favorite with a scratch of the 1 coming out. Seems like really helped her chances near. We'll have more on that in a moment. Ball Gown, winner at Keeneland on a wet track back in October.
Yeah, it comes with a claim for Joe Sharp, who has terrible numbers off the claim at Keeneland. 0 for 11 in sprints, 2 hitting the board over 5 years.
Never Say No, Let's Go. 3-time winner.
Okay, glad I don't have to call a race with this one in it.
Here is Essential Business coming in from the West Coast for Doug O'Neill.
I mean, listen, obviously this horse is a little bit suspect in here, but the good races just lay over this
Huge
field, right?
drop, way the horse to beat. Surprised it's 2-1 actually right now. Mia Baby, 7-1.
It's talking about a horse that was claimed for 5,000 a few starts to go, and that's why a horse like the 4 is so tough.
Awesome View was forward, took the lead in the stretch at this level, and then backed up.
What I don't like is the horse ran well for 20,000 at Delaware, comes to Oaklawn, they drop down, and the horse does not run particularly well. I don't like that.
Barn of Tim Martin, first off the claim was Spoiled Rotten.
Yeah, I guess this horse has some race in California, but claim from Peter Miller, tough to do.
Chaparita coming off a 4th place effort in a wet track at Oaklawn.
Yeah, it looks a little slow.
I thought the 9 was a player here, Scarlet Position.
Okay, we'll have to agree to disagree.
10-time winner.
Big price.
Some big numbers at softer circuit tracks, no question. Here's Taking Charge, Desi.
I'm with the bettors here. I had a tough time making case for anybody towards the outside.
Derby Day Lassie, you have more speed with a mare coming in from Louisiana Downs.
Got a big figure in a conditional 5,000 claim in Louisiana last time, 5.5. I'm not seeing it.
And last 2 outside, the 12 Chasing Shadows. Blinkers go on the 6-year-old mare.
Just seems too slow in the recent form.
And also eligible, drawing in, it's a rider change. Walter De La Cruz on yet more pace. Koala from the outside.
Came in from a track I'd love to go to, Hastings Park in Vancouver. You been to Vancouver? I've never been.
I have not.
I hear
Would
it's
love
great.
to get there. This one interesting.
Do they have a big race? We could go out and cover it. The Hastings Derby.
Let's pitch it.
Let's go.
But if we go, we're bringing Paulie Duca with us. Minute to post here, Paulie, in this 5th.
Oh, wow. They were the Vancouver Canadians, the AAA team, when I was in Albuquerque. I don't even think they're affiliated anymore, but one of the most beautiful cities I've ever been to. It just happens to be in Canada, but it's unbelievable. To get to this race, when you look at the 2 in here, Ball Gown, or the 2 favorites in here, Ball Gown, you know, I just don't know. When you look at her, does she need to lead the win? She really hasn't passed horses, and is she the fastest horse in here? Now, she came from a little bit off the pace last time, off the claim. She's been in some really good barns, the Romans barns, Steve Asmussen, and last time in the Matt Shearer barn, but now Joe Sharp. She does have a win over a wet surface. I don't love the draw for her on the inside. If she can save some ground, maybe in suck up a trip, maybe she could be able to pass horses in here. I thought a long shot play in here. I kind of like where you were going with Take Charge, Desi, the 10. I think you like that one a little bit, Wolfie. I thought that horse could come from a little bit off the pace as well. You know, the 3 in here was the other horse that, you know, when you look, comes from way out of it. She's cutting back in distance, and you probably thought, well, you know, this is probably a race to get her going for her next start to go long. But she might catch a field with a lot of pace, and she might be flying down the outside at 23-1 with Ramon Vasquez. And I think she's got a shot to hit the board. But listen, the mare on the screen lays over like Andy said. She really does. I'm a little bit worried that she's 2-1. Johnny Court takes the mount for Doug O'Neill. And a little tidbit here on the 4, Greg. I never really give any shout-outs, but the owner here is Todd Cady. When I went to Arizona State, I was the number 3 hitter. Todd Cady was the number 4 hitter, and he got drafted by the Florida Marlins in the 4th round. And a very, very close friend of mine, I texted Todd, how's your horse doing in the 4th? He still hasn't texted me back.
Wow, stood up.
Could have been worse. He could have said, who is this? You know? But
That's a cool story. Well, hopefully,
Todd, if you're out there, you got to get back to your mail.
Well, first of all,
It's
if
not
the
right.
horse wins, hopefully he's there and Paul gets to interview him. That'll be the reunion.
He's going to tell Paul if the horse wins that he texted him back and said the horse can't lose and somehow it got lost. And Paul is right. I just want to get back to what he said. This horse, we were talking about it off camera. This horse is a little DOB. It's going to be even money.
Yeah, dead on the board. Essential business. We expected this, especially with, scratches some of the other speed in here without one coming out. This horse just appears to lay over this group. It is a suspicious, massive red flag dropping class.
The stats that I thought were crazy, Joe Sharp, who he just wins, and he has good claiming numbers, that he is 1 for 19 off the claim at Oaklawn and 0 for 11 on sprints. Isn't that shocking?
It is.
That really surprised me. Now, I'm not saying the 2 can't win, but that's a surprising stat. So what if you believe that stat and you don't trust the 4? By the way, the 4 could be even money by post time. I'm not sure the 4 is not going to be.
Should be.
Yeah.
63-year-old John Court, by the way, will ride the favorite, the 4.
It's older than me.
It's amazing to still be doing this at that age. Incredible.
I want Paulie to tell us how many claims are in the 4, but I'm going to guess it's more than 15. Right?
For 10,000, why not?
If Gemography had won, I could have gone in for it, but not going to happen.
Right now, still 2-1 on Essential Business. We all seem to agree. Way the horse to beat, but oftentimes never been on a wet track, by the way. Maybe that's what's keeping people away. But
I don't know.
Absolutely the one to beat. Appears to be the quickest of the quick. Some of the other speed was scratched out. A lot to like. See what happens here. Matt Dinnerman, the call. Race 5 from Oaklawn.
2 back, Koala and Spoiled Rotten. We're ready to go. Koala backed out, waiting for Koala to go back in there. And Koala now takes her spot. Now we're ready. And Leroff. Essential Business hopped in the air at the break, and she was away last. Derby Day Lassie to the lead right away and opens up 2 on Koala, who runs at the 2nd spot. Mia Baby racing in the 3rd position with Spoiled Rotten. Scarlet Position is there, taking charge Desi in the pink cap with that pack. Another length and a half to Ball Gown alongside of Awesome View. They're 5 clear of Chasing Shadows. Never Say No, Let's Go as one runner beat. That's the slow starting Essential Business as the 3-2 favorite. She's got a lot of work to do from way back there around the far turn. Derby Day Lassie still in control, and the margin's a length and a half. Mia Baby, Koala, both chasing 2nd and 3rd, taking charge Desi 4-3 behind. Another 2 to Chaparita set to log. Spoiled Rotten is completely given way, so is Scarlet Position. Essential Business, she's still dead last as they swing off the turn, where the leader here is Mia Baby running right past that early front runner. Derby Day Lassie, who's dropping out of it, taking charge Desi's coming, so is Chasing Shadows and Ball Gown. They're moving together fast. Mia Baby still in front, but here's Ball Gown finding her best stride to take over, and Ball Gown gives Christian Torres a hat trick. 2nd home Chasing Shadows outfinished Mia Baby for that 2nd spot, and 4th was taking charge Desi.
So as you heard, a triple for Torres early on in this card. Ball Gown, Joe Sharp, first off the claim win.
1 for 12 now off the claim with Dirt Sprinters at Oaklawn. 2 for 20 overall. He's heating up, so gets done. And once this horse got off the rail, started running a lot better, obviously. And listen, the 5 ran a valiant race. Might have actually flown 2nd, but the race completely changed when the favorites blew the brake.
Can't break much worse than the 3-2 favorite Essential Business did in that race, and that was it for him. Back to New York. Sandy's Garden, Dylan Davis sitting off the pace today. This is a horse who likes to go gate to wire to be successful, able to get the 5th win of her career.
Yeah, and a good job using that outside post. I was just texting with Roddy Valenti, who owns Ghost Bustin', and he was agreeing that, the post really did her in. And I agree with him. She ran a very valiant race near to be second. I mean, especially for a horse that's lightly raced. And, Kendrick had to really send her from the inside. That's the other thing. She's not
used a lot of
naturally
energy
faster
up
than
early.
these horses, and because of the rail, whereas if you had drawn outside, you imagine how is the race run if the 7 draws the rail and she draws the outside post? It may run the same manner, except it's the number 1 horse, Ghost Bustin', who's able to get that cozy trip. And that's a situation where having the rail and speed was a detriment because there was so much other speed. And Kendrick had no choice. There's nothing, Kendrick rode her absolutely correctly. He had no choice. He did what he had to do.
$6.80 for the win as we move on to the feature on this Friday card. This is a very good one. 1 1/8, 2 turns, allowance optional claiming field. And right now it is Olympic Dreams who has opened up as the early favorite. By the way, we have an inquiry back at Oakland.
It's got to be about the 4 in the break. It has to be about the start. It's not about Joe Sharp winning off the claim.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure it's a start.
So Olympic Dreams right now favored coming off a big win on a wet, sloppy seal track
Your
at
horse.
Aqueduct.
Greg
One of
Will's
my
favorite
favorites.
horse. Yep.
Been a very good runner, but this is the one to beat. Law Professor, 6-year-old. Can he get back to that very good form? Graded stakes placed. Stakes winner of the Excelsior on this track back on a muddy sealed track last year. More from our Friday feature when we return on our coverage on Fox Sports 2.
Breeders' Cup champion Good Magic by Sire of Sires Curlin was the sire of first crop Kentucky Derby champion Mage, one of 3 Grade 1 winners to date, along with Muth and Blazing Sevens. In 2023, with just 2 crops to race, Good Magic ranked 21st on the general sire list with $9.5 million in earnings. 2-year-olds sold for up to $2 million, and yearlings sold for up to $725,000. Good Magic, the classic sire.
Fasig-Tipton Digital presents the Lothenbach Dispersal of Horses of Racing Age, offering more than 75 horses of racing age from Lothenbach Stables, a leading national stable that produced more than $30 million in earnings and over 800 wins since the year 2000, including a large selection of Kentucky and Minnesota breds from one of North America's top owners. The Lothenbach Dispersal of Horses of Racing Age, online only. Bidding opens on digital.fasig-tipton.com January 29th and closes February 2nd. Let's get digital.
This is Maxfield. This is a Maxfield foal. Maxfield, the G1 Breeders' Futurity and G1 Clark Hero by Street Sense. Maxfield foal. They're just like him. Walking, standing, looking perfect, and selling. This one made $500,000, the most by any freshman in 2023. Maxfield. He's the best in his field. Inquire now.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
It's La Verdad with a 3-length lead. Dancing House is all out. Room for Me is down towards the rail. And then Princess Violet. La Verdad with the lead and just the 16th to the finish. Dancing House is second as they come down for the finish. Here's this marvelous mare, La Verdad, to win her debut in 2016.
That'd be La Verdad's final start. What a mare she was. 16-time winner. Over $1.5 million in earnings for Linda Rice, Lady Sheila Stable, and a champion.
Yeah, she was. She was a champion, actually. Beat Wavell Avenue, won the Breeders' Cup filly and mare sprint, the Breeders' Cup. Never won a Grade 1, but she was really quite a horse. She's not produced that well. Her foals have not run that well, but she was a tremendous racer.
Fun to watch.
Yeah.
So that was the Interborough. We have the Interborough coming up this weekend on our coverage. America's Day at the Races and rescheduled. It's our ABR race of the week because of poor weather. And Linda Rice is going to bring back her 1-2 punch of Hot Fudge. Both on 3 race winning streaks in April.
I would argue that the addition of white chocolate has helped Linda because she put a little more speed in the race, and that helps Ain't Broke. It doesn't help Hot Fudge. Hot Fudge has been able to rate before and be successful. I think like they were last time, they are 2 of the 3 major players.
Hot Fudge, it's the Garland of Roses when she was able to rate and win. She'd come in off back-to-back gate-to-wire victories, but showed that new dimension here, at least in the recent form, with Kendra Carmouche, who will be back aboard on Saturday.
Listen, she's been in very, very good form and getting it done. And she showed the ability to be able to rate a little bit, so that really helped her chances. And she shows she doesn't need a lead to win. She's been terrific, but she has been a horse that's gotten very good trips, even though the trips of her making. But you worry a little bit in those situations at short prices.
Now Davis horse, just win, baby. 4 for 5 at Aqueduct.
No, she's terrific.
2 for 2 at 7/8 as well. 6 for 11 overall. So she's won 3 in a row. The Rice Barnes other runner, Ain't Broke, outside post, she's won 3 in a row as well. But I would think Hot Fudge, well, both big chances, certainly, in this race. And then you have Dr. B for Butch Reed, who just repeated in the Go for Wand and was able to take advantage of the way that track was playing that day.
I prefer She Ain't Broke. I always felt like Dr. B could be a really good horse. She ran against just a very tough division this year and who she faced. She still never got back to that breakout performance on a wet track in the 2022 Go for Wand. Now, she got it done for back-to-back wins in the Go for Wand, but is this really that good an effort? It was a big bias. She rode the bias, and I don't know if it's as good an effort and looks good on the track, but I'm skeptical a little bit. And the good news is, maybe not for her, but the track should be relatively dry on Saturday. We're not expecting any rain Sunday. We expect a little bit of rain, but not tomorrow. So I think there's a good chance the track will dry considerably. We see a little sun.
13 of her 22 starts. She's been first or second. Went back-to-back in this grade 3 Go for Wand, but was a speed favoring track that day as she was able to repeat. Jose Lezcano was aboard. We'll see if she can step up. We talk all the time about Butch Reed and how dangerous he is bringing horses here to New York. He always seems to show up.
Amazing. He may be as good shipping here as any trainer overall. We see him a lot more at Aqueduct. We don't see him shipping to Saratoga as much, but when we see him shipping here, and they're not like short prices. He wins with horses that are big prices in his races. I mean, he's an excellent trainer, but he's also, there are a lot of good trainers that struggle when they ship to New York. He is not one of them.
Here is a look at Tabawatch. We'll have the inside post and just missed a nasty beat in a bob at the wire in an allowance optional 80 race last time out. Right now 5-2 as we get set for our feature. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Yeah, I like Tabawatch in here, Greg. He is now third off that little bit of a break that we saw from the summer to this November. He's just solid. He was one that had matured greatly when I had last saw him, which he was in a previous barn going back to his first start. But he's just done very well. I was a little concerned that maybe he hung a little bit, considering that Kinetic Sky, who would win that race, was kind of battling through some quicker fractions. But I'm also just willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that he could be just an improving type. And now third off, we will see his best effort. At least he's telling me that by looking at him here in the paddock, just really standing out amongst his foes. As number 8 in here, Law Professor, he's going to be fourth off the bench. And arguably his best effort came 3 back when trying the grade 2 Woodward, when I thought that he was about 90% fit, but also just looking as though he was thriving. Now, things have not gone accordingly since then, kind of embroiled in a quick pace in the Fayette, and then they tried the turf because he has been successful in the turf before, so why not? Not going too well there at the fairgrounds. So back here in New York, he does look so much more fit and defined than what I'd seen from him going back to October of last year. So we'll see what he gets here. I think this is really what he wants to do. He likes it here at the Big A in this two-turn configuration. I don't think we should forget about him, Greg.
No, this is a very good Friday feature coming up in this 1 1/8 race. Law professor right there, 6-year-old, just 3 starts back, was 3rd in the Grade 2 Woodward behind Zandon.
He has the best races of anybody in here. I guess the question is, do you trust him at an outside post? But it's not that bad. I mean, you've got some scratches, so it's posted 7. You got some competitors. Are some of these horses like a horse like the number 2 on the upswing? And are we confident that he's the same horse he is at the top of his game? But even if he runs back to his race in the Woodward where he was 3rd to Zandon, he's probably going to win this race.
That's his win in the Excelsior on this track. Muddy Seal track. It was back in April. Stakes winner, obviously. Graded stakes placed. I don't expect he'll be 4-1 at post time.
No. Good call. He won't be. Maybe 5-2 to 2-1. I don't think it's going to be an overwhelming favorite in here.
We both talked about this horse earlier before we came on the air. Quality Chic has put together back-to-back very good efforts and should love the 1 1/8.
I agree. Thought he ran very well last time, along with Kinetic Sky, the horse Maggie was talking about, who finished in the photo with Tabawatch.
This was a narrow beat to Krupi, who's running in a big race this weekend.
Yes, well, he's entered the race formerly known as the Don. It's not going to be effective in there, but he actually ran pretty well in here. The horse finishes 4th in here. On the far outside, he's not going to be as 20-1 on the Fred Hooper, but he's a major contender. He'll be second choice. All I could. It's
Quality Chic, second beat a neck to Krupi in that race, running in that Pegasus World Cup Invitational this weekend at Gulfstream. Before that, it was a win at a 1 3/16 on a sloppy sealed track. So major player. And here's a look at the 3 No Burn. Another one who ran a very big effort, but against a lot easier last start.
And I think what's interesting is that there is a lot of wet track form. Now, Olympic Dreams handled the wet track well last time, but he's the one horse in here that has had some hiccups on wet tracks. Generally, these horses have been horses that have handled wet tracks well. He's a little questionable in it, though he did handle it last time.
And he's coming back in 19 days.
You love him.
Has won, coming back, or not won, but run very big. One of his bigger efforts coming back in 18 days in the past. So I don't know if that's as huge a concern. Did run a very big number, though, last start. Will he move forward? Loves a 1 1/8.
Him too. Happy to see that, and Trevor as well.
Yeah. Here's Laughing Boy to start things off.
He's the weaker half of the entry, and I think he's not going to be in front like he was last time unless Winnett fails to get out of the gate.
He's got post 3, the entry mate post 5, Quality Chic.
He's the one they're betting for the most part in this race, and understandable. His last race was good, and he likes a wet track.
Florent Giroux in town, the rail with Tabawatch.
Half horse will travel. Florent is in town. Nice to see him here, and I think he's improving, and Maggie and I both like this one, but I'm not betting at 5-2.
No Burn, that big effort, no win against softer company.
Yeah, this is a huge move up for him.
10-1. Here's the 5, Winnett. Question is the distance.
He breaks sharply. He's going to be in front, and he's got some talent. He was on the rail last time. It wasn't the place to be. But like you said, Greg, I think the distance is a bit of a question.
Olympic Dreams, 3 for 5 at a 1 1/8.
Trevor's got to get him in position. I think keep him out in the clear so he doesn't get bothered by a kickback on a wet track.
And Law Professor outside, winner of that Excelsior on this track back in April. We showed you has won over $900,000.
He's got to get positioned for the far outside post, which is not always the easiest thing to do. Now, 7, the scratches really help him, having a few come out in here, but still, he's got to get it done. Probably going to be favored by post time, maybe sort of dueling with the number 2, Tabawatch.
There he is. Again, inside post.
You know, his next time Tabawatch runs, I won't remember how to pronounce his name.
Tabawatch.
You'll have to Tabawatch.
Here's the Winnett was in here as well, who set the pace, backed up to 4th. And how in the world does Tabawatch not win this race?
I thought he did win. I was watching it at home.
He's the 5.
On my computer. I thought he won. And then I saw he got a good trip to get there. And Maggie's not really wrong, to be fair. She's right. He hung a little bit. 'Cause right here, I mean, he's got all the momentum. Now, he's against a good horse, but he was by. I mean, it is still hard to believe. I mean, oh man, did the 5 get all the bob?
You don't think the inside re-rallied?
He did, and he was, or maybe he hung a little bit. And I think it's a very valid point by Maggie. You don't like to see that, especially at a short price. And I like him, but that's a bit of a concern. Is Law Professor a little DOB right now? He's fourth choice.
That's surprising.
Yeah, that is surprising. Maybe value at 7-2.
There is Olympic Dreams coming off that big win. Back-to-back wins, in fact. Let's go back to Maggie.
Yeah, and off the 19 days, as you mentioned, Greg, and looking at a horse with a somewhat quick turnaround, it's really not that bad, and obviously he's handled it in the past, but he is a bigger type that tends to carry a lot of conditioning. So those horses actually do, if they come out of the race sound and, you know, he looks great out on the racetrack, they tend to be okay coming back on that somewhat quick turnaround because there's just a lot of them to go around. Now, are we going to see him be able to handle a wet track in back-to-back performances? I don't know, maybe. And I thought it was interesting in the write-up on DRF today that trainer Pat Quick stating that he had to treat him and get him over EPM. Don't ask me to actually say the medical term for that, but it does affect a horse's neurological system, and it'll often make them fairly weak behind. So having that treatment, he's now a lot stronger behind, so therefore he's not going to be slipping around on these wet tracks, and maybe it's just taking him truly getting over that and stronger to be a horse that can handle any type of surface. So I respect him in here. Is he going to be my pick? No, because I feel like he is facing some nice horses in Tabawatch and Law Professor, but not going to be surprised when he jumps up and wins here. Greg?
4-1 right now. He has faced very good company, and he has more than held his own. We'll see if he's up to the task again today and can make it 3 wins in a row. And Trevor McCarthy has done a great job on board him as well.
Yeah, Trevor is really riding well, and people forget. Trevor had been riding extremely well here when he got those opportunities here during the winter. But unfortunately, he had that accident where he broke his pelvis, in early November of 2022? And he was out for 4 months. So he missed the whole winter. And it's not just that he missed the opportunity to win races. At that point, the other bigger riders are coming back. He's not going to get the business when he comes back. Other people have established themselves. So he really lost an entire year because of that injury, and he was riding extremely well. And I think he's starting to get more opportunities, but even now, you're seeing him hitting the board at big prices, and when there is a bias, there's no rider you want more than Trevor McCarthy because he's really paying attention and thinking about the racetrack. And listen, there's other very good riders out here as well, but Trevor, he's a very good rider. He just had a lost 2023 because of that incident.
So he's been the regular pilot on this talented New York bred, facing open company here. And we talked about this race before we came on too. The big race, obviously, with that $3 million purse, no monsters in there.
No.
This division, older horse category, wide open. Maybe a face or two can come out of this and potentially put themselves on the map in that division.
Yeah, I mean, White Abarrio's going over to Saudi Arabia and probably Dubai. And Saudi Crown is going over to Saudi Arabia. So, the horse running here, but you're right. That doesn't mean that there aren't horses that can step forward. It'd be nice to see some newly turned 4-year-olds step forward. A horse like Signator, who's in the Phipps. Not the Phipps, I'm sorry, the Fred Hooper, another major owner of the game. Fred Hooper, before your time as an owner in this game, is a big owner in this game. Yeah. A West Coast precisionist. Maybe one of his best horses. He was big when I was a kid, he had a lot of horses. He had a horse named Shuttle Jet, I believe, that used to run against the mighty Swale as a 2-year-old.
Precisionist that lost the rider, jumped up, won the race, weaved through traffic, jumped up at the wire, knew exactly where the wire was. I think it was. We're set for the 8th Friday feature. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin, the call.
Professor goes in. All set. They're off. Win it off a step slow. Olympic Dreams is asked for speed, so is Laughing Boy, who's quickest, and Laughing Boy will take him into that first turn. Tabawatch is down towards the inside, as in the Blue Silks will be a shared second. Olympic Dreams is right there. They're second and third now. Out wider, that's Law Professor is trying to save a touch of ground. Is going to be 4 wide, and at the rail comes No Burn, who's there in 5th. Then Win It. A little tough to handle there is Quality Chic, who's the trailer. 6 lengths to cover them all. They're chasing Laughing Boy. Ruben Selvera will take him to the backstretch. They went 23 and 3 for the opening quarter mile. Tabawatch is right there, tracking from second. It's now patiently ridden, is comfortable in the second position. Olympic Dreams is 3 wide in third. At the rail comes No Burn. Dylan Davis with 2 on the day looking for 3. And in between horses, here comes Law Professor and Manny Franco, and they're on the move. From the back, it's Win It with the trailer still Quality Chic. But Laughing Boy is showing the way. It's Laughing Boy who went 48 seconds flat for that half-mile time. Tabawatch, no excuses, is right there from second. Out wider, here's Law Professor trying to move forward with Olympic Dreams. No Burn continues to save ground, is progressing nicely at the rail, and No Burn is now challenging Tabawatch, who's under a full drive with less than a half mile to go as they work into the far turn. Laughing Boy is still the target. No Burn is the one traveling better right now, and here comes No Burn into the 2-path. Olympic Dreams continues to fight on. Tabawatch is losing ground in between horses at the rail. That's Law Professor. The leader has been collared, and No Burn has now put a neck in front. Law Professor, though, is resurgent now, is taken third, is tipping towards the outside as they reach the top of the stretch. It's No Burn who's trying to put away a stubborn Laughing Boy, but Law Professor is switched to the outside, and Law Professor means business on the grandstand side. It's No Burn who's still got more with a furlong left to go, but Law Professor just grinding away up on the outside. Here's Law Professor to challenge No Burn. They're now head and head, and now Law Professor has taken the lead. It's Law Professor who's up by a full length. No Burn is not done, tries to come back, but Law Professor gets the victory. Law Professor gets the win over No Burn. Olympic Dreams comes back to get third, and Laughing Boy in 1 minute 54.47 seconds.
Class of the field prevails. Law Professor, 7th career victory. Rob Atras, Manny Franco.
Thought he was struggling a little bit in the backstretch, but once he was able to get to the outside and get in the clear, make that run, he kicked in and proved best, the 5-2 second choice. We're going to probably have a double carrier in the pick 6 if No Burn got it done. As you said to me, Law Professor made his case in mid-stretch. Very good call there. And Tabawatch, he was terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, Ferrand got great position. He got him out in the backstretch. He looked to be cruising along. And 3/8 to a half mile to go, he had absolutely nothing. Olympic Dreams rallied again for third. But I still think that Olympic Dreams struggled with the racetrack. He never really got it. He never ran his race. I think he was more third. I mean, he's just because he's a good horse. But he really just never got in a comfortable rhythm.
8-3-7-1. Law Professor back to his winning ways. 5-2 in the end. Manny Franco aboard for the victory. He was on board for that Excelsior win on this track back in April as well. Prices from the Friday feature when we come back. Nightcap still to come and plenty more ahead from Oaklawn. Stay with us on our FS2 coverage. Thanks for being with us on our Friday coverage on FS2. America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part where you can play all the action at Nyra Bets. Go to nyrabets.com, bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Friday feature in the books in New York, Law Professor the win. Well, those prices coming up. In the meantime, we go to Oaklawn Pick 5 coming up here in this Arkansas bred maiden special weight 6 furlong sprint. Let's go to Paul.
Yeah, and you know, these Arkansas bred races can be very, very tough, as you see the 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. So the 3-year-olds are going to carry 118 pounds, and the 4-year-olds will be carrying 125 pounds. Well, let's get you the horse to the inside in here, Hit Scene for Corey Owens and AAA Ranch. I'm very familiar, obviously, with Corey because AAA Ranch, obviously, in Arizona. But this, if you look at the breeding on this horse, Top Hit out of a Rocky Bar mare, actually, those two horses actually were leading sires at one time in New Mexico. This horse is bred in New Mexico through and through. And I actually talked to Corey about, and he said, I have another Top Hit Arkansas bred that's out of a Street Sense mare as well. And he's listening. He goes, this horse is fast as can be, the one Hit Scene. But I'm just worried, just like every other trainer, is he going to be ready in his 4-year-old debut? Now, when you look at the works, they don't really flash at you. But Corey's been always kind of a trainer that sort of like jogs him more in the afternoon and tries to get the speed when they race in the afternoon. And I just think this horse is going to blast out of there. Now, the 3 Bullsworth opened up, actually really, the 3 and the 10 opened up very live in here. It's a first-time starter, a Practical Joke first-time starter of a Bodemeister mare, another non-Arkansas bred type of horse being by Practical Joke, but been working well. Rafael Bejarano, Monroe Cuts Barn before the break that we had was on fire. And then the 10 on the outside really ran well for Jinx Fire's first time out when clearing God's Country. God's Country, you know, the 7 was favorite first time out and last time. And, you know, the 10 kind of beat him to the punch out of the gate. I just don't know if the 10 can get to the front end. I think the 1's very, very fast in here. So I'll go with Hit Scene off the layoff with a little New Mexico breeding involved here.
You know, Paulie's dead right about Bullsworth. I think the 11, by the way. I bet a few dollars on the 11. I thought I bet a trip last time. But Bullsworth, there's nothing Arky bred about it. It's not just Practical Joke. The dam side is all not. This is an unusual pedigree for an Arkansas bred.
And meanwhile, 22-1 on the 5. This horse was weaving his way through all sorts of traffic in his debut. It was state bred maiden 50, so a bit of a step up, but at a big price. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I worry about being a tougher field. I thought the 11, who had a wide trip first time, actually ran pretty well and took some money, so I bet him to win and bet a little 3-11 box.
11 stepping in right now. Was at this level last start. Did take a little money, but blinkers on, gets Lasix as well. Matt Dinnerman, the call. Start of the late pick 5 from Oaklawn.
It's a rainy day coming up first. Then Macho Striker. Still working with Macho Striker. We start the late pick 5, ladies and gentlemen, as we're working with Macho Striker. Being a little bit cantankerous behind the gate here, Macho Striker. Macho Striker goes in now. We're ready to go. And Laroff. From the inside, Hit Scene was out alert. Lee Holland Ice, the first-time starter, has early speed. He's in front with Hit Scene. It's a rainy day right off of them running in third. Macho Striker right behind the top pair who are right together. Hit Scene still leads narrowly. Holland Ice second, pressing the pace. Burlsworth strides up into the third position, a little bit keen to get after those leaders. Gets third and gets off the rail approaching the turn. He's a length in front of Macho Striker. It's a rainy day. Plummets back to fifth, already under pressure, hitting the turn. God's Country is next. Devil's Fork needs to get going, is behind horses as It's a Rainy Day plummets back. Then comes All Green Lights and Jaeger's Strategy. Big Andy Mort at the rear with Imperial Shadow around the forward turn. Battle continues on the lead. Hit Scene, Holland Ice right together. Burlsworth 2 behind, under a ride. Macho Striker gets to the outside for the final 3/16. And then comes God's Country as they come down the lane. Holland Ice with the head lead. Hit Scene left back in second. Burlsworth under under the left-handed stick, trying to get there third. There's a 16th to go. Hit Scene coming right back at Hall and Ice, who could not go on, and Hit Scene repels that challenge. Hit Scene and Luis Quinones to win it by a length and a half. Hall and Ice was second, God's Country third. Burlsworth checks it fourth.
Hit Scene able to hang on and get the maiden win here. Start number 2 for the Corey Owens barn. 1:873 finish.
The pace just held together. The number 3, I thought Burlsworth was poised to just go by these horses. Kind of a big horse, could not get by. The speed held up. And Hit Scene, the $40,000 maiden claimer first time out. Winner's share in this race, $69,000.
Amazing. A lot of money on the line at this meet. 9-5 favorite. With the victory to start off that late pick 5, we return to New York, and Law Professor, class of the field, gets it done. Picture time again. Winner Circle lead it, brought to you by the Lothenbach Stable Dispersal, with 90 horses of racing age offered at Fasig-Tipton Digital. Bidding begins January 29th, online only. So Law Professor, last time we saw him get his picture taken, it was at Excelsior victory on a muddy sealed track here at Aqueduct in April. Now he does it again. It's a good field here.
Yeah, no, he's a very nice horse, and a good job by Rob getting him back there, and Manny as well.
Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Here with winning trainer Rob Atras after Law Professor gets the win today back in the winner's circle, Rob. And as you were just mentioning to me, a lot of things aligning for him to be in the winner's circle.
Yeah, no, obviously he likes New York. He runs really good on the surface. He does really good with Manny, and he's a tough horse to train, and he's a nervous horse. So after his last 2 efforts, we opted to send him back here and hopefully to get him back on track, and he ran a really good race today, so we're really proud of him.
He didn't make it easy on himself or Manny. Kind of got rank in spots, wanted to lug in, but really showing his class on this occasion.
Definitely, yeah. I think there was a little more speed, and we were out wide a little bit, and he kind of got a little rank early, but Manny settled him and opted to go inside, saving ground. So it was a great ride, and the horse really ran good today.
Do you think about stakes races again with him?
Well, we'll see how he comes out, obviously, but hopefully we can get him back there.
Well, today was a step in the right direction. Congrats.
Definitely. Thanks, Maggie.
All right, Rob Atras with Law Professor. Good to see him back to his winning ways, guys.
Indeed. Thank you, Maggie. 6-year-old still going strong. Handles a pretty good group here. It seems like maybe a few horses didn't show up on this track this afternoon.
But he did.
He did, absolutely.
He did. No Burn ran some race in there. We mentioned before the race, I was mentioning how Win It can be a little tricky out of the gate. He got left again, which enabled the one to get the lead. I'm not saying it was a one. He just didn't get out at the start. But Law Professor delivered. As Maggie said, didn't make it easy.
Closing out the Friday card in New York with a one-turn mile. New York Breds, $30,000 maiden claiming race, so all for sale. All trying to get that first win of the career in a wide open group. But Watch Hill's number, the 8, is going to come down way. The horse to beat. Dropping class for Mike Maker, one of the best barns in the country with Manny Franco. We're going to take a timeout. He just keeps collecting hardware year after year after year. Arad Ortiz Jr., 5th time the last 6 years. An Eclipse Award is coming home with him. We'll be back right after this.
The sun shines bright on Caraconte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe.
Spandarella could not have been more impressive.
The sun shines bright on this value sire.
Here down 25, here down 25, here down. Thank you. Right here, 525,000.
Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
Game Winner first got started and ran a very, very impressive maiden race to Del Mar. Came back in the Del Mar Futurity and again won very impressively at 7 furlongs. And then just continued that unbelievable 2-year-old year. Went on to win the American Pharoah Stakes at Santa Anita and then the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And then was obviously crowned 2-year-old champion. Got the precocity to do that, plus the stamina and everything that his whole family indicates.
They're off in the 2023 First Crop Sires race. Max Maximum Mischief makes the lead with the most 2-year-old maiden special winners by any sire. On the backstretch, Mitoli and Omaha Beach close the gap. With stakes performers from coast to coast, Vino Rosso finds his best and leads on the turn with 4 Grade 1 colts on dirt. But it's Mitoli with his 3rd TDM Rising Star, your champion freshman, leading an impressive Spendthrift Superfecta.
Back with you on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. Nightcap coming up in New York, and the best still yet to come at Oaklawn. Pick 5 underway. Late pick 4 is next here on America's Day at the races. We're 18 minutes away from the 7th. Hit Scene, the winner back of race 6 to start off the pick 5 and start number 2.
They knew. It did not look like a 9-to-5 shot on paper, but was able to get it done in a game effort. Felt like it was kind of measured, actually, top of the stretch with the number 8, the firster for Lindsey Schultz.
It's coming out of a state-bred maiden 40 race.
Yeah, I guess in state-bred races, the maiden claimer to maiden special, it's not the kind of jump. He's got to sort of realize that with New York breds. Boy, I thought the practical joke firster, the number 3, was poised and just really didn't have any finish. Ran fine, but just had no finish. I mean, there was not a lot of movement in this race.
That was, by the way, Burlsworth, who finishes... What, was it dead heat for 3rd here?
No,
4th, excuse me. Named for Brandon Burlsworth. He was an All-American University of Arkansas offensive lineman, tragically killed in a car wreck after being selected in the 3rd round of the '99 NFL draft.
Wow.
So a good story there. Hopefully that horse looks like he might have a future. Ran okay on debut.
It's a very interesting thing that the Connections did. You know, you breed a practical joke to a mare from not in Arkansas, right? You obviously have the horses foaled in Arkansas, I would assume. The purses are so good, and if the horse is good enough, wins those purses, and then can move on to Opens. So a very interesting move, and you wonder if other people might look to do something like that and take advantage of these lucrative purses for Archie breds.
A lot of money for a state-bred maiden special. Unreal. Here's the horse to beat without question in this nightcap here in New York. Watch Hill. That price has to be coming down. Here's a look at Watch Hill in action. He's coming out of a state-bred maiden special. But we're going to go 2 starts back when he was in the level. He'll be back in today when he got beat by Aula, who'd go on to win a starter allowance 2 starts later.
Yeah, he's under even money based on the double price, which he should be. The problem also is it's not just that he looks okay and he gets back into condition he ran back. If you don't like him, who do you like? That's my problem.
Not a lot of alternatives.
Mine was mine. I think you agree with me. Was the one run and score coming in from out of town, but that horse is not going to play. Without that horse in there, I got nothing.
2 a little interesting for Ray Handel.
I'm not a fan of that horse. Sarah likes that horse more than I do. I'm sure she likes him today. She liked him last time. What about the 7 October Bliss, who I scratched into as my second choice? Why is that horse not capable of the dirt? This horse has back dirt figures that are okay. I'm going to have to bet a little 8-7. Small box, press the 8-7.
15-1 with some, I guess, kind of hidden form because it's been on turf recently.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't seem impossible.
Now, Watch Hill, he put in a move. He went to his knees out of the gate, and he put in a move 3 wide going after the 3-5 Todd Pletcher favorite that day in a better spot.
He's a weak horse to beat in this race, and he's going to be 4-5 by post time. I mean, it's one of these things, the last race, I don't know. It is early. There's a lot to go. I can't make a case against him. I'm not going to try to.
Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Oh, I want to talk about the 7 in here, October Bliss, guys, as he gets back to the main track. It's not like he looks like a turf horse by any means. Taking him out here in the paddock. Excuse me. And he's sharp and he's fit looking, coming back off the break from July. I think he's quite interesting here. I mean, Andy brought up the points of why to like him, and he backs it up here in the paddock. So he's an intriguing proposition as we'll look to his inside with a somewhat lighter raced foe in number 6, Escape Key. Just remarking on the equipment he's wearing. He has been running with a hood on, but Jimmy Ryerson opting to add just a small, very small shortcut cheater blinker to him today. Is nicely settled. A horse that has at least shown a propensity to be at least forward. I'm wondering today, Greg, with that little blinker, if he's even more forward, because he does certainly have that frame where he's a little bit more built downhill with those elevated hindquarters that suggests that early speed should come naturally.
Maggie, thanks. We'll get to the post-parade here coming up shortly. Escape Key blinkers on this 6 horse for Lane Luzzy.
I played this horse last time. He was terrible. I mean, he had a good ride, a good trip, great position. I mean, I needed him for second. The heavy favorite, Barry Funny. He was awful in there. I don't know. Maybe you'll like a wet track, but I can't bet him off his last race.
Little Luz and Big Luz, his dad, is now his agent.
I saw
Mike
Big Luz the other day in the racing office. Hustling Mounts, good man.
Father-son team. And, yeah, he's starting to have some success here on the circuit.
Jimmy Ryerson, the original trainer of the great Unbridled Song. He's one of the great talents the last 30 years. He really was a super horse. He just was so physically screwed up that it never panned out. He ran an amazing Derby. The lead mid-stretch. Those bad feet.
So hard to keep some of these, the best athletes we have running with issues, and if not for things like that, well, could have been for many.
2-year-old champion Fierceness will be returning a week from Saturday in the Holy Bull, scaring horses off. I can understand that. Hopefully we'll get a couple of them to come up here for the Withers. And well as the Southwest being run at Oaklawn, we'll be covering both of those.
Going to have a segment coming up on our Eclipse Award winners. We showed you Rat Ortiz Jr. collecting some more hardware. Can I mention a 2-year-old who got a vote to you? The Wine Steward got a vote for 2-year-old of the year.
The people who make these votes should lose their vote. It's just absurd. I mean, and it's a disgrace that somebody has a vote and does crap like that.
Here is Sin Nombre inherits the rail for Ray Handel, the 2.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan, but not impossible.
Waffler, back-to-back seconds at the level.
Has been a good form, and handle the wet track, 2 back, could get a piece.
Dolly's Bank, Matty Over.
I can't make a case here, can you?
I cannot. I'm 9-1.
Don't get it.
Here is Compromiser.
Did improve last time 1 mile and 1/8, but the prior races, but has some back form, so not ridiculous at 20-1. I would rather bet that horse at 20-1, the 4 at 10-1. How's that? I make a prop bet. I'll take 6-5. The 4 beats the. There's 5 beats the 4.
Couple things to like with the 6. Gets blinkers. His paired up last 2 numbers. Maybe can move forward.
Andy off.
October Bliss with Kendrick at 13-1.
Well, Maggie and I both think that he could be the best alternative to the favorite.
Is this the bet of the year at 9-5?
Lower level horses at short prices aren't for me on wet tracks, but he just overlays this field.
And here's looking to win Romero Mirage for the Shib Mangle Barn.
He might be looking, but he's going to have a hard time finding it.
It's done just no running last couple of starts and at this level. Here's the 11, Money for Nothing, Mike Maselli.
Where do you stand on Dire Straits?
I'm a fan.
I'm a big fan. Big fan of Mark Knopfler.
One of the great early videos.
Yes.
And here's
Telegraph Road.
Charming Jim, Mark Hennig.
Just trying to, make a little case for him getting in the dirt for the first time, but first fall, it's really a turf family.
Oh, taken off in the debut. But didn't run.
Yes, and I looked up the pedigree to see, and there just isn't much. Mark just figures I'm here for the winter. I might as well take a shot with this New York bred, see how he runs, and now he has to run him back again and run a dry track.
8-5 favorite. Here is Watch Hill. Drops back down in class after a credible effort against Better Company. Public going here, Andy going here, Maggie, though, going next door to the 7.
No, but I'm with Maggie. The 7's another horse that could be used in here. I bet an 8-7. I'm just not trying to beat the favorite in here. But, I'm sure there are people that do the studies how, favorites on wet tracks, are overall short-priced horses. Are they is it better to try to beat them? Because the wet tracks play no favorites. You know, they could help or hurt a favorite or a long shot the same. Now, generally, I don't really care about wet tracks as long as the horse they usually run their races. But when they're short-priced horses, you're always asking yourself, are there reasons I don't want to bet?
2 minutes to post to this nightcap from New York. Back to Maggie.
Well, as Andy bringing up stats, I found some not maybe useless information, but interesting information as we get into foaling season. Doesn't really relate to this race whatsoever, but I just thought I'd share it. There has never been a graded stakes winner that was born under 100 pounds. So those foals come out, you want them to be over 100 pounds if you want the good ones. We're dealing with maiden claimers here, and one that has consistently looked the part in most of his recent races so far is number 2, Sin Nombre, who I want to like again, but I still am not convinced that longer is ultimately better for this guy. He has admittedly chilled out tenfold since becoming a gelding and running back 3 starts ago, or now 4 starts ago. But we'll see. I thought, you know, he kind of broke forwardly last time. He was shuffled back a bit going to the turn. He stayed on well between horses. So maybe that bodes well for that kind of even pace type of runner to appreciate a little more ground. We'll see how he does here. Again, probably looking best in this field, but has been somewhat disappointing as of late, guys.
I need now just to show my ignorance. I don't know from Maggie what the average weight of a foal is. You're saying that 100 pounds. That I just I have no idea.
That's a good question, Andy. I'm not exactly sure. I do believe it is between, I would say, anywhere from 80 to 120 pounds.
All right. And speaking of foals, Christophe Clement, a grandfather. Acacia, an aunt. As
congratulations.
Christophe's daughter, Charlotte. Her husband, Sean, had a baby.
Real quick, pretty good pick fives today. To the favorite, to the 8, Watch Hill, over $1,400. Everyone else, the shortest is over $4,300.
This is the pick 5. Pick 5. Oh, we should also look at the pick 6 too, right?
The 4, the 5, the 7, the 9, and the 11.
And the 12.
And the 12. All result in another carryover.
Only the 8, 6, 2, 3, 6, and 8 are covered. The 8 overwhelmingly covered. It seems like there's 10 tickets on the 8.
Now 4 to 5, as we expected on Watch Hill. Way the horse to beat here in this finale. Dropping out of a tougher group. Chris Griffin to bring us home at Aqueduct. More coming up from Oaklawn right after this.
Still working with the 9, looking to win. Money for nothing. Compromiser. Compromiser steps forward, goes in. Charming Jim to the outside with Escape Key. Charming Jim. Still not quite in there. Now steps forward and is in. All set. And they're off. Waffler broke with speed, so did Escape Key from in between horses. Dolly's Bank is right there. Compromiser trying to join them, tightly bunched on the front end, but Waffler's got a nose in front. At the rail, here comes Sin Nombre, is trying to join those leaders now with that opening as they get set to move out of the chute and hook up with the backstretch. Waffler has the lead. It's Waffler in front and Dolly's Bank right towards the outside in second. At the rail, that's Sin Nombre. Watching the action there is Escape Key, is in the 4 spot, just reclaimed third. Following that one is looking to win. Money for Nothing. Out in the center of the racetrack up the far outside is 5 wide. October Bliss is in that grouping as well, 23.54 for the opening quarter mile. The leader is still Waffler. Dolly's Bank continues to chase this leader towards the back end of the field. There's Compromiser, just got passed by Watch Hill, who starts a move from the back and far back. It's Charming Jim, who's the trailer. Waffler will take him into the far turn. They went 47.3 for the half-mile time. Dolly's Bank continues to chase here from second. October Bliss found that seam and is 3 wide, chasing the leaders now. Sin Nombre is right in behind those leaders as well, is in the 4 spot, saving ground to the inside. Hard driven there is Escape Key, who's losing ground. Money for Nothing from the back. Charming Jim, Trevor McCarthy launching a big run. They're about 10 lengths off the lead. Watch Hill is trying to chase and Compromiser, but at the top of the stretch, it's October Bliss. October Bliss has now taken command. Waffler continues to battle on towards the inside. October Bliss and Waffler. Watch Hill has gone down towards the inside, is trying to rally on. Late here is Charming Jim. October Bliss is trying to spread away from the field. Continue to chase his Waffler. It's now Charming Jim who's run up into the third, but is running out of time. October Bliss. Waffler late. October Bliss will win the finale. October Bliss over Waffler, then Charming Jim and Watch Hill. Final running time, 1 minute 42 and 3.
How about that to end this card? 11-1, October Bliss. Andy, Maggie, both like this one. And Kendrick Carmouche had this one in good position.
Maggie, a couple of big priced winners in the show. And she'll be coming on. She gets her reward for that. She gets to come on for an hour with you. I mean, that's like a contest, right? If you pick a couple of big priced horses, you get to spend a little quality time with Greg Wolf.
Stop.
And this horse didn't even break, by the way. He didn't break. But Kendrick got him right into position, and you could see he was sort of in the bit the entire way. Unlike Watch Hill, who, by the way, was absolutely awful. I mean, he didn't do any running at all, trying to rally the inside, but he was never in it. But this horse, October Bliss, off the way up. Happy for Bruce Brown and Kendrick getting it done to close it out at 11-1. And a pick 6 carryover, $73,000, I believe, will be the number going into Saturdays. And by the way, I understand there's a lot of attention on Gulfstream tomorrow, and understandably, take a look at this Aqueduct card tomorrow. It is a terrific card.
It really is. Glad you brought that up. Hidden form here from this horse having recently been on grass. Certainly was some dirt for this horse. Was in against Neural Network, Drake's Passage on a wet track, and actually ran decent in the debut. 11-1. Nice call. Maggie, 7-3, 12-8. 4-5 favorite beat. Now we have a double pick 6 carryover.
73,000 and change, I believe, is the number. I think that's what I saw.
Well, we'll have it for you when we come back from break.
Oh, will we, Greg? $73,199.
Let's wait and see. Okay.
All right.
Wanted to give everyone a reason to come back. We
got Maggie coming up here. They don't watch us. They're waiting for Maggie to get up here.
Plenty more coming up from Oaklawn as well when we return. Kendrick Carmouche on October Bliss at 11-1 in the nightcap from Aqueduct. Back on America's Day at the races and back out to Hot Springs, Arkansas. Started the late pick 4 6 furlong sprint. All for sale for $10,000 in this claiming race for non-winners of 3 lifetime. That's the current favorite. The 3 Must Be Love for one of the best claiming barns in the game. Robertino Diodoro just claimed this one. Let's go to Paulie for more.
Yeah, Greg, and here's a horse that was claimed for 20, now drops down to 10. You know, that's what Diodoro has been doing at the last couple of meets. He's obviously been very, very successful, and Must Be Love right now is taking most of the money here. And Christian Torres having a monster day. He's looking for his 4th on the card. And, you know, I think this horse will show some early speed in here and is one of the players by far. The 13 in here, Cartel Queen for Riley Mott. He's had 2 races, drops from the 30 non-3 down to the 10, and has only had 9 career races. I know she's a 5-year-old mare, but you go back to some of her races, they can compete in here. I don't know about 5-1 on the way outside. I thought the live horse in here, guys, was a 7. Rack-a-Tap Tap from Michael Hewitt. And I like that this horse has had recency, a lot of races. And when you look at this horse's lines, 2 starts back, next out winner. 3 starts back, next out winner. 4 start back, next out winner. So he's just been in better races. And you get Joey Belmere, young apprentice. You get 111 pounds. He's won 2 races already at this meet. So I'm going to give the edge to the 7 here for Michael Hewitt at a bit of a price here right now at 6-1, Greg.
Rack-a-Tap Tap, that's the 7, 6-1.
I don't love that claim drop down. It Must Be Love. And he claimed from our man Tom Amos, so we can't really root for that horse.
Condition 20 claiming race. Yeah, claimed back in November.
I talked to
and
Tom
now
the other
drop.
day, by the way.
How's he doing?
He's good. He's good. It's great to talk to him.
Be seeing him before we know it.
I know. Well, we'll see Colleen. That's what we only hang with Tom because we like Colleen, his wife.
Late pick 4 starts here, the 6 furlong sprint. Matt Dinnerman, the call.
2 back, Rack-a-Tap Tap. And then after Rack-a-Tap Tap, Cartel Queen to the outside. Working with Rack-a-Tap Tap. Still working with Rack-a-Tap Tap. Cartel Queen to the outside. We're ready to go. And Laroff. Uneventful break for all the runners. Mr. Sharpie up on the pace today as a share of the lead with Mochok. They're together, and Roman Giant has to slam off the brakes. Is back in the 3rd position. Cartel Queen joins him. So does Must Be Love down the backstretch. Stellar Tap, the gray horse, is next. He's running 5 lengths off the pace with Invariably. They're 4 lengths clear of Hollow Point, Warhorse West, and a 3-deep Galactic Empire. Chelsea Dagger is second to last, and Rack-a-Tap Tap has no early speed, is well out of it as they round the far turn. Mr. Sharpie, the pacemaker, with 3 furlongs left to go. It scampers away to a 1.5 lead. Must Be Love following him takes the 2nd position. In the 3rd spot, Stellar Trap trying to get rolling with Invariably. Cartel Queen's getting into it as Mo Choctaw's dropping back and is being eased up at the top of the lane. Invariably coming up to challenge Mr. Sharpie. Must Be Love's in it. Cartel Queen, Stellar Tap between horses fighting on gamely. Here's Stellar Tap the gray moving up strongly. Invariably trying to move with him as Must Be Love weakens in 3rd. 16th to go. Stellar Tap diving to the lead, pulling away decisively, and Stellar Tap wins it in the mud, going away by 2.5. Invariably was 2nd, Photo for 3rd, Cartel Queen, and Must Be Love.
Stellar Tap, father, son. More on Keith Asmussen later in the show. Riding for dad here, New Gelding. Picks up the 3rd win of his career.
And I know Maggie's laughing because she remembers Stellar Tap when he broke his maiden at Saratoga with a mid to high 70 buyer figure going 7 furlongs. I think my friend Nick Tamaro, one of the sharpest guys I know, said that could be a Derby horse the next year. Well, just went off the claim for $7,500. Not an easy game.
No, it's not. But horse who went for $250,000, slowly working his way back to getting out. But for several different connections.
Like the goods. In his maiden win, he was very impressive for Steve.
A 9-2 here.
I didn't have him.
Back to New York. Big upset to close things out. October Bliss. You made some cases for this one. Maggie picked this horse. Bruce Brown, Kendrick Carmouche. Happy to see them win.
I agree. Always happy to see Bruce get the job done, see the family out there, see Nicholas out there. I don't know, Nicholas, there was a time when I really felt the competition, Nicholas, to take my job. I'm not really sure where he stands in that now. I got to find out.
How old is he?
Nicholas got to be how old is Nicholas? Maggie? About 14, 15? I have a great picture of him in the old gazebo with me wearing the headset to go on. It's got to be at least, the gazebo's been gone in the paddock, which we use, Maggie. That gazebo's been
Give him a tryout on
years,
the air.
Right? Yeah.
24.80 to close out this card here in New York. Again, a double pick six carryover.
73,109.
There it is.
And you know what? I wasn't right. There's 4 cents.
Exactly. We want to be precise. Pick 5, by the way, 7,951.25.
Not easy. I had to bet against the 8, and I think you and I would have leaned heavily on the 8. I could not have hit this.
Ready for this pick 6 tomorrow?
I'm ready. Oh, I'm ready for Saturday. Saturday's going to be
great card, as you mentioned. A lot of reasons to play.
Good stuff.
We'll have live coverage.
We're not on together tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm early. You're
I'm
late.
hosting late. Yeah.
Had fun though today.
I did, as always.
Maggie Wolfendale stepping in to take over for Andy after a short timeout. We're going to talk many things, including Eclipse Award winners from last night down in South Florida. Bill Mott taking home a 4th Trainer of the Year award after a sensational year with 3 champions. We'll be back with more right after this on America's Day at the Races.
Charlatan is back, and he turns it on with 1/8 of a mile to go. Express Train moves into second. Nashville dropping out of it, and then Collusion Illusion. What a spectacular return for Charlatan, who will romp in the run-happy Malibu Stakes by 4.5 emphatic lengths. Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
Your guide to selecting a stallion for your mare. Step 1. Make sure he's won a big, famous race.
Mystic Guy charges away and takes the Dubai World Cup.
Step 2. He'd better be very good looking. Step 3. He must have excited the support of breeders with quality mares. Mystic Guy. He's unmissable. Call Darley.
The Fasig-Tipton Kentucky Winter Mixed Sale. The last mixed sale before the start of the breeding season. Featuring a deep catalog of quality racing and broodmare prospects, yearlings, and mares in foal to the sport's leading sires. Plus 65 entries of breeding stock and yearlings from the complete dispersal of Lothenbach stables. Recent sale graduates include Grade 1 winner Adair Manor. Kentucky Winter Mixed, February 5th and 6th at Fasig-Tipton in Lexington, Kentucky. Where will you be?
Back with you on America's Day of the Races on our FS2 coverage. It's brought to you in part by Hill & Dale at Alapa. Card in the books in New York. More to come, including the feature out at Oaklawn with me, Maggie Wolfendale. Good to see you. First time I've seen you all year long, at least face-to-face.
Yeah, exactly.
So happy New Year.
No, likewise. Happy New Year, too. I think we've both been on holidays for the past month or so.
So we're gonna get back to it. We have more coming up, including a very good feature out at Oaklawn. We'll check in with Paulie in a little bit. This last race, Stellar Tap. Wish we had you on segment earlier because this is the horse who what?
Sentimental value that gave Steve Asmussen the record for the winningest trainer in North America and a reclaim last time out for the 7,500. New gelding. Love that angle, especially for these Great Rapids.
So this one, just third win of his career, 21 career starts, just claimed by Asmussen, takes him back and has his son on board for the victory. Again, we're going to have a feature on Keith coming up a little bit later on the show.
How about that angle? The pre-feature win.
Yeah.
A new one.
11:40 for the victory. 8-1, 3-13 with stellar tap as we move on to race 8. Restricted maiden special weight, so horses who sold for $80,000 or less last time at auction. 6 furlong sprint coming up, and we've got a few new faces in here, and a horse who's actually stepping up in class, who is even money right now. I thought it was really interesting. This horse completely, Philly pulled out of the race severely with trouble and then ran huge to come on late.
Yeah, so a horse that was in on the front and started to bolt, and she was right behind that rival. And unfortunately, Manny Esquivel had to steady her way back around the turn, and losing position at that pivotal part of the race, I think, really hurt her. And she's looking to build upon that, because with each race, she looked good when she showed up on the turf, but with each now dirt race, she's kind of taken a step forward.
And for Joe Sharp right now, though, Secret is out. Even money on the 6, Spiritual Lady, who we're talking about. More on this race when we come back. Short timeout. We'll talk Eclipse Awards. Arcangelo Hardware taken home. What a year it was for that late blooming 3-year-old, for Jenna Antonucci. We'll be back right after this. Back with you on our Friday coverage, America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. When you stay there, which room is it usually?
Ooh, I say
top, far right?
No, I'm in the middle.
Okay.
I pray not for the far end.
Racetrack view, though, right?
Always racetrack.
Okay.
I
hope
go
so.
back down to the front desk and be like, no, you've got me wrong here.
You
racetrack view.
have done actually some of your hits without even leaving your room.
Yes.
I've seen that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was.
Great spot out there. One of the best views of, in a hotel of any racetrack there is in the game. Eclipse Awards happened last night down in South Florida. Cody's Wish, the sentimental choice, takes home Horse of the Year in Old Dirt Male, and his trainer, Bill Mott, gets his 4th Eclipse Award as Outstanding Trainer.
It was amazing to think that he got his first one back in 1995, and reading quotes from him just saying how fortunate he's been, and so humble still, saying how fortunate he's been to be able to have the opportunities that he's had, and bringing all of his longtime staff to the Eclipse Awards to receive.
How about this guy?
Yeah,
Fifth
he's
Eclipse the
unstoppable.
last 6 years for Rat Ortiz Jr. Broke the single season record for earnings that he had set, and he led the nation in wins, 366 wins, including 3 on Breeders' Cup weekend. Meanwhile, Cody's Wish, just incredible all year long. They tried to stretch him out to the 2 turns and put him into that classic division. Did not pan out, but he ended the year on a very strong note.
Yeah, and we romanticize the handicap division. I think a lot of times that it's a be-all and end-all, but good horses are just good horses, no matter what they're doing necessarily. And yes, he is a horse that has shown that he has a certain running style. He wants to run into a little bit of pace a lot of times. He proved he didn't necessarily need it in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, but just, obviously, as you said, the story, the sentimental value that surrounded him. But at the end of the day, he's a good horse. And he ran through consistently throughout the year and back-to-back Breeders' Cup Dirt Miles. And we see him as now Horse of the Year.
Cody Dorman on everybody's mind, who we recently lost with this one being named Horse of the Year. Would you say Met Mile, maybe the best race we saw from anyone this past year?
Yes. For 2023, I would agree with you. Don't get me wrong. White Barrio's Whitney win was spectacular. But I also felt like maybe not the strongest Whitney, maybe a lot of horses not showing up. And look, they faced each other on both of those occasions, and they took turns beating each other. So I'm excited to see what White Barrio does going forward into the rest of the year. And because now we don't have Cody's Wish to fill that void. So it's always good to look for the talented horses to come back and run.
Meanwhile, his trainer seemed very, all 3 deserving. Chad Brown in that category as well, but Bill Mott, Brad Cox breaking the earnings record he'd set a couple of years ago, but it goes to Bill Mott. 3 champions he trained this year, and I think everybody with a smile on their face seeing this result.
Absolutely. And I loved his acceptance speech as well. His assistants have been with him for such a long time, especially Leanna Williford here in New York. She stays here. She does her thing here. She's a ultra talented horsewoman in her own right, and Bill acknowledges that, and he acknowledges the fact that he wouldn't be able to have all the success he does without that team around him, and especially touching to see his family there as well.
Just FYI, I know kind of a new shooter came along, but to manage 2 incredibly talented horses like Elite Power, like Cody's Wish, through these campaigns again, how difficult is it to do that and maintain that form?
And Bill's done it throughout his entire Hall of Fame career. You obviously go back to Cigar. He is able to get these horses into good form and maintain that form, and that is something that is very difficult to do, Greg.
Meanwhile, history-making year, still hard to believe. Jenna Antonucci, the first female trainer ever to win a Triple Crown race, now the first female trainer ever to have a champion 3-year-old.
It's just amazing. It still gives me goosebumps. I wasn't expecting to get goosebumps, but I just did, because I consider Jenna a friend, and what she was able to do with this horse, who's just spectacular. And it really goes to show you good horses can come from anywhere, but also that anybody, if they work hard enough, can achieve this level of success. And Jenna is a walking example of that. And to get a Belmont win and then back it up with the Travers, yes, I believe that Arcangelo is a deserving 3-year-old champion.
He was incredible. Maiden win, Peter Pan, then Belmont Travers. Unfortunately, didn't get to see him in the Classic. But what a job Jenna Antonucci did with his horse. And shout out, too, to all the horses. We saw so many of these horses that were nominees running here in New York.
Well, that's it,
all
exactly
year
right.
long.
Except for one champion. All of them had at least one start in 2023 in New York or trained here. Like up to the mark, he only had the one start in New York, but he trained here.
Go Jenna.
Right?
Seat at the table indeed. Yeah, good
Yeah.
night all of Elite Power, Just FYI, Fierceness, Arcangelo, Cody's Wish, all horses we saw here run in New York. Jenna Antonucci, of course, based out here. And I had an opportunity actually to talk to her pre-Belmont Stakes on that day. And you would think you'd be just a wreck. She was so calm, just
So poised.
Taking it all in.
So
Exactly.
poised throughout the entire proceedings of it all. For somebody to be thrust on that stage for the very first time, she handled it with the most aplomb, the class, and just really had poignant things to say and really left an indelible mark on this industry.
Fun night, and congratulations to all of the award winners. And again, I guess the most dominant, Godolphin dominant again, 4th year in a row. They win consecutive owner, 3rd year they win consecutive breeder. But Irad Ortiz Jr., it's become the Irad Ortiz Jr. Award.
Yeah, I know. It was good to see, you know, there was a lot of controversy about Javier Castellano not making the ballot. But at the end of the day, he did get the second most first place votes. So it was always going to be Irad who won it. But it was good to see that at least Javier's achievements throughout the year with many first Kentucky Derby, first Belmont, were recognized.
And 7th Travers?
Yes, you're right.
What a
That's
year.
insane. Yeah.
Pretty good year.
Yeah.
We're going to take a timeout. We have a lot more coming up. 8th next at Oaklawn. We'll check back in with Paul LaDuca when we return. Restricted maiden special weight coming up. And there's one of the many contenders, happy and smiling to run Happy Filly, making start number 3. We'll have the post parade after a short break.
In the Pilgrim Stakes, they come on for the finish. Annapolis by a head.
It is Annapolis in front. It is Annapolis to win the Coolmore Turf Mile.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Number 1 is Mo Donegal by Uncle Mo. And they're off in the Remsen. As they come on for the finish, and it's going to be tight here in the Remsen. Mo Donegal. Mo Donegal bearing down on the outside. It's Mo Donegal and early voting, and it is Mo Donegal to win the Wood Memorial. And it will be Mo Donegal to win the Test of the Champion, the Belmont Stakes.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races. Greg Wolf, Maggie Wolfendale, Paul LaDuca with us out in Hot Springs as we get set for the post parade here from the 8th coming up. 6 furlongs in this restricted maiden special weight ahead in even money. I love that race from Spiritual Lady. That is short, isn't it?
That's short. I thought there were some interesting contenders outside of her.
And that was against arguably easier
This
group.
is kind of a weird condition, right?
It
it's
is.
usually not that high of a RNA or sales tag or RNA
What is it usually,
price.
50 in New York?
Yeah.
This is 80.
I think
Horses
it's
sold for 80,000 or
50 in
less.
Kentucky, too.
So
okay.
Spiritual Lady, Joe Sharp, Christian Torres looking for his 4th, by the way, in the day on the 6-5 favorite. We'll kick things off in a minute here with Wise Miss, who comes in from Delaware and actually took money in a straight maiden race that day, but filly that beat her that day has kind of gone backwards the next couple of starts.
But that filly was able to control, and I thought Wise Miss kind of the, I don't know, yo-yo kind of ride that day where she was up close, she dropped back, and then she re-rallied again. So, I don't know, I thought she could maybe improve upon that effort. And, Greg, we do see a lot of these horses getting Lasix for their first start as 3-year-olds.
There she is, still muddy track out in Hot Springs. So 6-1. for the McLean Robertson barn. The Big Calhouna, start number 2, beat by a next out winner in the debut.
Yeah, that horse looks promising. Midshipman's Dance, several of them having faced her. She broke slow that day, then rushed up around the turn, and rightfully so, tired.
Yeah, that filly won the Mockingbird next time out. Happy and smiling for John Ortiz.
I would love to see Ricardo Santana, who gets aboard for the 3rd time, be aggressive early, put her in the game.
Bent Halo, the dam actually produced a pretty good runner named Super Saul, was originally with Bob Baffert.
Didn't take much money on debut, but I thought she ran okay, just looking as though she needed to start for fitness.
Here's the one with that trip last time out. Spiritual Lady, even money.
Yep, that's a short price, though, on a horse. Look, we saw it back here at Aqueduct. Muddy track, suspect, class. We'll see how she does at a short price.
First time starter, this is Intrusion.
They did not pay much for this daughter of Golden Scent. Stam, a little better turf. Not much pedigree to report on.
Filly by Catholic Boy. Blinkers coming off for start number 2 with the 8.
Yeah, and gets a 10-pound apprentice. Will have to do much better.
She's Not a Joke. Big price. Gets Lasix for start number 3.
Yeah, again, will need to improve. First 2 races look slow.
Safe Crackers Sue was 54-1 in the debut.
Yeah, and gets the same, track condition as first time, did not show much.
And No Pay, No Hay was 3rd against Maiden 20, easier group last out.
Right, and that was for Robertino Diodoro, as Kim Poole still looking for the first win of the meet.
So we're going to head to Paulie now. Paul, quite a trip and a troubled trip, and ran on huge late for Spiritual Lady last time out.
Yeah, I mean, she was giant last time out. She probably should have won the race. And when you look back in the running lines, who'd she face last time out? Midshipman's Dance. So maybe that's a common running line that maybe you want to include that other runner, the 3 in here, because I just think that Midshipman's Dance, is, like you guys said, is a really nice runner. You know, she had the lead that day, 2 back. Now she gets the Lasix today. I'm with you guys. Even money, still even money's a little short. But I think that, I understand where the public's going. Joe Sharp's got to win on the day so far. The 4 Happy and Smiling, I'm completely in agreement with Maggie. I think Ricardo's going to send here, and this is a horse that's been bet in both of her starts at the $115,000 level. Now she gets in this restricted level you guys were talking about, because she was sold for $60,000. She gets Lasix, and I think gets to the front end. She, you get a tough draw in her first start, and I thought she ran well from the 1 hole. You never really want the 1 hole first time out, and I thought she ran okay. So I think she's the clear second choice, and maybe the horse to beat, if not behind the 6 in here at least. The public's looking at all the inside runners, and I can see why. Wise Miss, I'm in agreement with Maggie, and there's nothing against Cecily Evans, but Eduardo Gallardo is a more experienced rider and might get a little bit better right here. You're worried a little bit about the 80-plus day absence from racing, but, the 2 does have a decent race on the form. And the 3's taking money here, the Big Calhouna getting Lasix, and I think this is the Midshipman Dance, and I think you treat this horse as a first-time starter, because when you look in that race, 12-1 in a 10-horse field is not getting completely dismissed, and, ran into a buzzsaw, so the 3 could be any kind. I landed on the 4 in here, but I just can't take even money on the 6. I do think she is the horse to beat, but I'll go with the 4 with a little bit of a push towards the 2 in here.
It's so easy to pick up what Spiritual Lady did. In fact, Matt Dinnerman was all over it in that call last time out. It looked like she was just completely backing out of the race, made this huge late run. She only got beat 3/4 of a length in the end. Can, with a clean trip, she run that same kind of race. If she can, everyone else is probably in trouble here.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. But as Paul said, I thought you could kind of make cases for the 4 horses to her inside. Now, maybe they're just not that good, but they're a little less exposed than she is. There's every reason to believe that one of those could step up with a better performance in this start here. So I just think that even money is a bit of a short price to take on her. The 3 is taking some nibbles after, and Paul said it too. That's not a totally dismissive price in the large field that she was in, and had a terrible trip. If she breaks more alertly today, she could be dangerous, and we've seen these Maximus Mischiefs be precocious types.
Yeah, again, that filly that beat her that day won the debut for Robertino Diodoro. She'd come back and win the stake, the Mockingbird, next time out, so she's undefeated, 2 for 2, and she improved 16 buyer points from that first to that second start doing it.
Right. She got a 79 for the win in that stakes race subsequently. So the big Kahuna, look for an improved effort from her. Happy and Smiling, as we said, we want to see Ricardo be more aggressive. And Wise Miss, that's not a bad number to run first time out at Delaware, which is can be a little bit of a tricky racetrack. So as you said, Sky Victory maybe not complimenting her, but with that break in between, some time to develop, she could improve upon that effort.
That's the 2. She inherits the rail now with a scratch of the 1. Matt Dinnerman, the call. Here's the 8th from Oaklawn.
Safe Cracker Sue coming up. Spiritual Lady second to last. No Pay, No Hay to round out the field. Here's No Pay, No Hay. We're ready to go. And Leroff, the big Kahuna, leapt in the air at the start and is well out of it early. Spiritual Lady, Bent Halo, and also Happy and Smilin'. Those 3 are across the track. Bent Halo with a narrow lead. Happy and Smilin' holds the inside spot, easing off as Bent Halo kicks onto a 1.5 length lead. Spiritual Lady tracks from second. Happy and Smiling inside of her. A space of 2 lengths to Wise Miss with No Pay, No Hay, and another 2 lengths to the big Kahuna, who broke last, is rushed up all the way to be level 6 in the turn with She's Not a Joke. There's 7 clear of Safe Cracker Sue, Catholic Sue, and Intrusion as they round the far turn. Bent Halo has 5/16 to go, leads by 2. Happy and Smiling cutting into the leading margin. Spiritual Lady being asked to go now as they hit the quarter pole. Wise Miss in 4-3 behind. The others have got to pick it up as they come down the lane. Bent Halo, after setting a fast pace, gets leg weary, is passed by Spiritual Lady and Happy and Smiling. Spiritual Lady with the head lead. Happy and Smiling is right there battling too. Here's Wise Miss and Eduardo Gallardo on the scene. Wise Miss, Spiritual Lady, Happy and Smiling. Those 3 across the track. Wise Miss, grandstand side. Happy and Smiling inside, battling too. Happy and Smiling on the inside. Turned away Wise Miss to win it with Spiritual Lady third and Catholic Sue flying late for 4th.
Happy and Smiling, John Ortiz barn, Ricardo Santana Jr. and the Donner Run Happy the win.
She was resolute in victory. Nice call by Paul here with the 4 and the 2. Wise Miss looked like she was going to gobble them all up late here, but Ricardo Santana kept Happy and Smiling to her task, and she prevailed down on the inside.
Wow, all 3 of these fillies at one point looked like they were going to win this race. In the end, inside, Happy and Smiling, and Ricardo Santana Jr., second choice at 2-1. Third time the charm. Let's go to Paulie for more.
I'm with winning trainer here, Johnny Ortiz. You got a little tight there late. Johnny, do you think you were going to hang on?
You know what? I believe it. This filly's got that fight in her. We've always thought that she's a little bit special, so that's not surprising that she's always had a little fight.
It was a little heady ride there because Ricardo tried to push towards the lead, then he let that other horse go and settled. Were you really happy the way she settled?
Yeah, I know Ricardo knows her. He's been working her since Keeneland, and he's always said that this is one of his favorite mounts. So, just watching him ride her, he knows what he was doing.
Well, congratulations, Johnny, but we still need to work on that Yankees hat.
That's right.
Johnny Ortiz gets the job done here in race number 8.
Brought up on the backstretch of Belmont, but yeah, you were the Mets guy. Careful.
He's got to represent, though. I mean, rightfully so, he's a Yankees guy. Sorry, Paul.
He'll get over it.
Yeah.
Happy and Smiling with the victory at 2-1. And again, Ricardo Santana Jr. for the Ortiz barn. Picture time. And career start number 3 here in this 8th.
Yeah, and Johnny picking up a little bit here. It seemed like kind of a frustrating start to the Oaklawn meet, a place where he typically sees a bunch of success. But now it feels like they're getting in a rhythm and they're knocking the winners home.
All right, we'll have these prices for you when we come back. Feature race from Hot Springs coming up next as well. And we've already seen this young man win for Dad earlier today. Keith Asmussen having a lot of success, and he has really come on strong of late out in Hot Springs. His story when we return. Good to have you with us on our Friday coverage on FS2, America's Day at the Races. Happy and smiling. Usually the case if you're in the winner's circle, and third time out for the Stunner Run Happy, that's the case. John Ortiz trains. You heard from him with Paulie. Ricardo Santana Jr. aboard.
Yeah, and it was good to see her brake well. She put Ricardo in the right position. He was aggressive with her to get that forward position, and it paid off in the end because she had pressure from the outside late in the game, and she was able to prevail here. So I thought just a good effort and a good stepping stone forward to Breaker Maiden.
Good way to end your day, too, for Ricardo. His mounts in the last 2 races scratched, so he's going to go out on a winning note. Cross-country pick 5. First of the 3 from Oaklawn. It's been formful to this point. We'll see if any chaos ensues here in the next 2.
Yeah, we'll see. I looking forward to the next race for sure.
It is a good one. Very competitive feature allowance. Non-winners of 2 life. 6 furlong sprint. Coming up in a 1-5 Bourbon Bash. Looks really tough. But is there concern at all that he's 0 for 2 in the money on an off track?
That's why I like Wicked again.
Okay.
I'm going for the feature angle here, Greg.
Yeah, who's on board? The man we're about to talk about right now. His uncle forever changed the way jockeys rode in Europe. His dad, let's just say he's won more than his fair share of races. Keith Asmussen comes from a long line of successful horsemen, but despite the pedigree, his dream of becoming a jockey almost never got off the ground.
Such a privilege coming from a family of jockeys that they understand the trials and tribulations of being a jockey and what it takes mentally and physically. When I first started, I wanted to ride one race more than anything, and this kind of snowballed into something that has, blown my wildest expectations.
And it's Ian Glass fending off all the challenges, and he'll prevail going away too.
Today, the Asmussens are better known for training thoroughbreds, thanks to the accomplishments of Keith's father, Steve, who was the only trainer to win 10,000 races in North America.
It's impossible to explain how much fun it is. I mean, I've been unbelievably blessed in horse racing, and I think a lot of it is, growing up, my dad rode, and then my older brother rode and stuff. So the excitement of that, and then to get to relive it with your kids is unbelievable.
I imagine he's got an immense source of pride from it, given that he is, other than horses, taught me about everything I know. Grew up around the racetrack, handicapping races. Hometown Arlington, Texas, 20 minutes away from Lone Star Park. Obviously infatuated with jockey as a profession growing up, just having known my father and my uncle and my grandfather, who were all jockeys.
Keith Asmussen's mother, Julie, was an accomplished rider in her own right. She competed in the rodeo event, barrel racing, through high school. And his younger brother, Eric, is the latest Asmussen to forge a path as a jockey. Keith and Eric have already ridden on the same card at several racetracks, just like their uncle and father did at Aqueduct in the 1980s.
It was always, a dream, but I would go as far as saying like a pipe dream of being a jockey. Probably 7th grade, I was about the same size I am now, so I thought I was going to blow right by it.
It was Keith's height and weight that steered him towards a more typical career path after graduating from high school.
Applied to the University of Texas, and I got in their business school. I'm an accounting major. I have a 5 years master's degree in professional accounting. And it wasn't until my junior year at college, when COVID hit, 2020, that when classes went online, I came to work here at Oaklawn. Because I'd already, poked my father quite a bit about, is it possible I could ride a race? Before I even rode, my parents made me promise that, once you start, you're not going to want to go back to school. You got to promise you're going to go back to school. And I kept that promise, and I went back for 2 more years, and I got my degrees. And as soon as I graduated, I went straight to the racetrack.
Rivet has won his 3rd straight, and Keith Asmussen has an Oaklawn Stakes victory.
Keith James Asmussen is named after his grandfather, the family patriarch, who rode quarter horses for 38 years. In fact, grandfather and grandson both won a race for Hall of Fame trainer D. Wayne Lucas 54 years apart.
These two to the wire, Papa Rocket.
I love being a jockey. It's such an incredible feeling. There's nothing like the feeling of being on top of a thoroughbred racehorse at full flight. And, when you add the art of race riding, it was such a spectacle watching it growing up and just being so attracted to it, and then being able to actually do it, it's beyond words.
It's amazing. Yes, thought he was going to be too tall to even be able to do this at all. Just wanted to get that one mount, and it sort of was just a fun summer project at one point. And now the progression he's made, we've seen it with our own eyes on the program. It's been amazing.
Yeah, it's one good thing to come out of COVID, is that Keith really honed his skills and was able to learn how to maintain his weight and be able to ride. So it's fun watching this family have the success that they have.
Take a look at his numbers at this meet. I went earlier today, riding for Dad on Stellar Tap. And you wonder, too, I mean, Steve Asmussen, with that many wins, you're probably a perfectionist.
He is.
He probably demands even more out of his son.
He is. I don't envy Keith by any means, but he's such a sweet young man. But, you know, there's that passion and that competitiveness that burns inside that entire family.
No question. Paulie, you've able to, you know, see it firsthand, his rise over these last couple of years, and it's been fun to watch.
Well, let's get back to his father, Steve, of being rough on some of his riders. I remember when Mig came down here to Oaklawn, you know, Steve went right up to him and said, gosh, my kid is tough as nails. And Mig said, what do you mean? He goes, I yell at him more and more than anybody other jockey. And he sits there and takes it. And you can tell in Keith's kind of demeanor that he's just got that quiet demeanor. Like Maggie says, he's an absolute sweetheart. But he's got that competitive nature that comes with the Asmussen family. I just think if you have that last name and you're in horse racing, you got that edge to win races. But, you know, I think Keith has learned now to ride more cerebral because he has to a little bit. Let's be fair, being that tall is a disadvantage. You have to give him all the credit in the world to pursue at his height and to keep this weight and to ride at this kind of a level. And like you said, he's gotten better and better. His younger brother just won his first race at Sam Houston. It just goes on. And when you come from a lineage of that kind of family where his grandfather is still breaking horses to this day. And when you mention that stat about riding a horse for D. Wayne Lukas, 54 years apart, just think of the longevity of the Asmussen family. And Keith is starting to make that Asmussen family a little bit stronger and stronger.
Incredible the legacy this family is going to wind up leaving in this game. And I don't know if we gave it enough attention what just happened. Horse that gave this barn, Steve Asmussen and the family, the record for wins. They reclaim the horse, and then he wins with his son aboard.
Yeah, that's amazing. That really is. And a horse that obviously, and they will do that. I mean, I've seen them do that on several occasions. Obviously, this horse, a little bit of sentimental value on top of all that, but horses that they previously trained for, you know, owners that they would go back and claim for themselves.
We're going to see Keith coming up in this feature race, riding for Dad again, Wicked again. Get your thoughts on his chances in this race when we return, coming off a maiden win. Last time out, can the son of Gunrunner build off Dad? There he is. Keith will ride for Dad, Winchell Thoroughbreds when we return. We'll have the post-parade right after this on our FS2 coverage.
War Dancer, New York's leading turf sire again in 2023 with standouts like Barrage at Saratoga.
Here's Barrage with a final surge. Barrage got him.
Warsaichi dominant on the dirt at Finger Lakes.
Warsaichi has scampered well clear. Warsaichi all the way with the top spot.
And Danzig Queen on the tap of the surface at Woodbine.
And Danzig Queen will come away and win by a length.
Consistently producing winners on dirt, turf, and synthetic. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York.
Back on America's Day of the Races on FS2. It's brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Feature race on this Friday afternoon from Hot Springs, 6 furlong sprint. Horses who've not won 2 Life and Allowance Company. And the Keith Asmussen and Dad Steve connection here. It's the 8 Wicked Again. What do you think of the chances of this horse?
Well, he finally broke through last time out, right? And obviously has a really nice pedigree, being a gun runner out of the Greatest Stakes winner, Just Wicked, who has, oh my God, her name just completely flew out of my brain. The Gray filly, very good, multiple stakes winning gray sprinter. Anyway, he finally breaks through here, Greg, and I think that, no, it's not Echo Zulu. No, it's just Wicked Halo. Thank you.
There you go.
Okay, I digress. But he's getting to do, I think, what he finally wants to do, and they experimented being a gun runner. Does he want to go a little bit further? No, I think he is more of a sprinter. He's shown an affinity in his races over a wet track. He gets the wet track again, and I think kind of onwards and upwards with this guy, that he's finally kind of put it all together.
5-1. There's no question the horse to beat, though, in this race.
Yes.
You see riders up is Bourbon Bash. Several races, if this horse can repeat any of those, including the comeback off the bench, it's just so much better than anyone in this field. But the question mark remains, look, 7 seconds from 19 starts and 0 for 2 in the money on an off track.
You said it. 1 for 19 lifetime. Does he really want to win? Is this arguably one of his easier races? Yes, I think you could make that argument as far as class and company goes. But again, that kind of record starts to add up after a while.
For D. Wayne Lukas, Christian Torres will look for his 4th. That's a 4-5 favorite. And second off the bench, we'll see if there's a forward move now in this 4-year-old. If that is the case, very likely winner in the spot. We're going to start with a 2 here in a minute. Happy is a choice, who had a maiden win at Keeneland. Actually, the race I thought better than it looked. It was a career best effort off the bench last time out here at Oaklawn.
Yeah, exactly, because he didn't break slow. Obviously, there was a lot of ring rust going on there, coming in off of the 13-month layoff. And he kind of, ranged up and then just got a little bit tired. But it certainly was a step in the right direction when it comes to speed figures.
There's Happy as a choice. So Run Happy 4-year-old for John Ortiz.
How about this? John Ortiz carrying the Run Happy flag.
Yeah, so you can go back-to-back here. Ramon Vasquez will ride B minor, 20-1 with Harry Hernandez.
A turn back. I don't see that much pace for him to close into, but you never know.
Last time sprinting ran good against 2 next out winners. Here's the 4 Distorted Pro.
Yeah, Distorted Pro. He, speaking of pace, could be the pace setter.
Got a big figure last time out, too. Francisco Arrieta rides. Here's the big favorite for D. Wayne Lukas.
And the other question mark with him, Greg, is for a sprinter, he doesn't have that much early speed, as much as you'd like to see as a heavy favorite.
To the 8, Wicked Again. Keith riding for Dad Steve Asmussen.
He's tactical enough, and I like him.
Media Mogul. Interesting horse who second time out at a lower level track ran a big effort.
Puts those shortcut cheater blinkers on, coming in off a bit of a layoff, turning back, needs to find better than his best, I think, to win.
Big price of Fleet Sky, the 11.
Woof. An Archie bred that experimenting with some open company.
And I thought a lot to like with a 12 home style.
Right? He's the kind of other one, along with Wicked Again here. He's faced some nice 3-year-old sprinters in his previous races, and making his first start for Joe Sharp. I feel useless, and I don't know who Lance Rutledge is, but we know who Joe Sharp is.
He had a brutal start last time out, too. He was 5 wide, rushed up on a hot pace, and just put a line through that race. Let's go to Paulie for more.
Yeah, I thought this was a difficult race, and to see Bourbon Bash at that low of odds, I just don't know. When I look at Bourbon Bash, he had a horse that's 1 for 17 with 7 seconds. 1 for 19 with 7 seconds, and that just doesn't equate to 4 to 5 to me in any spot. I get that his races do lay over when it comes number-wise, but I'm with Maggie here. I'm sticking with the 8 in here, Wicked Again. I think back to sprinting, the 2 races that the horse has been on a muddy racetrack, he absolutely loves it. I think he can lay right off the pace. He showed pretty decent speed when you think about it, coming out of those mile races in 7 furlong races. I just think he's a horse that likes the mud, and this is a good shot for him at 4 to 1. And I think to beat maybe a vulnerable favorite at 4-5. I'm in agreement with you guys on Homestead here for Joe Sharp. Blinkers go on. You know, this horse parked and got bet for 64 cents on the dollar for Lance Rutledge at Keeneland, and then just kind of went a little sideways with the last race at Oaklawn Park. The horse didn't break well, so maybe do you draw a line through that? Horse has kind of stayed here since that day, and the Carl Moore management decided to go with Joe Sharp. So this filly, or gelding, excuse me, by Nyquist, is taking some action in here. You know, the other horse on the rail here, the 2, Happy is a choice. Like you guys said, Johnny Ortiz looking for back-to-back races. I mean, look at the works this horse had going into his last race, and he kind of ran to the works, just got kind of left. Maybe with a better break today, maybe the horse to like maybe hold off late in here. So I'm going to stick with the 8 in here. I think the 8's got a big shot. I'm with Maggie. I think the 8 turns the corner and goes back-to-back with Wicked again. And by the way, they're walking out of the paddock here. They're going out to jog, and Chris Landeros goes, I looked at the media mogul. I'm like, gosh, that horse is almost white. He goes, well, this thing's a half-brother of Arcangelo. I hope he runs like him.
Media mogul, the 9.
Oh, my gosh,
Half-brother to the 3-year-old champ, Arcangelo. Well done, Paulie.
Yeah, seriously. I did not. Oh, yeah, it does say it right there.
14-1 right now.
That's a big, like I said, he's going to have to find a race that he hasn't run yet to I would say, run 1, 2, 3 here. But huge price. And there's pedigree. But he is a 5-year-old only making his 4th career start.
Arcangelo found that race after 2 less than stellar first starts of his career.
He did. And look, this guy's never been off the board, but that's being awfully lightly raced for you know, right here.
I'm gonna go back to the 12. I know we're looking at Wicked again here, but Homestead, his dirt debut, look, he was 8 lengths clear of this horse.
Right. I like this horse. I'm with you. And he could be the speed of the speed here. I know he has to do it from the outside. There's been some scratches, so that moves him in a little bit here. Blinkers going on. Joe, if you call a spade, it looks as though he's trying to get this horse to the lead. And for a dirt sprint, there isn't an abundance of it. And I think, don't pull any punches, just go.
He ran a huge number to break his maiden, 2nd dirt start. Then he was in against Rivet, who's very talented sprinter in Stakes Company. And then he had a complete excuse last time out.
Right. I'm with you. I'm quite bullish on this one here.
5-1 from that outside post for this guy right here. But 4-5 on Bourbon Bash for the legendary D. Wayne Lucas.
He's got a mud tail there on the 12 as well. See how his tail's tied up? You can't really see it because it's...
Trying to keep a little extra weight off?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's amazing. I mean, you look at Bourbon Bash, who's even money right now, as good as he's running. He's run so many good races that he's only 1 for 19. I mean, fair enough, he's been in some really tough spots.
Yeah. No, he has. And against stakes winners. Ever So Mischievous in the Harrods Creek, 3 starts ago. No, Bourbon Bash, he deserves. Like I said, though, the fact that he doesn't have much early speed at this distance concerns me at a short price. I want somebody who's going to be forward, and I think the 12 is the fastest. If he clears from the outside and Wicked again is tactful enough, he's going to be right there.
Tough to tell. I know we're on a TV screen here, but what you're seeing from Bourbon Bash.
Well, I like the fact that Christian Torres is keeping him moving. He's a horse that I think needs some time to loosen up. He is a gelding now, which they did just do that in the fall of this past year. But just looked as though he needed to kind of get his feet underneath of him when they first started off, and he has. And he's keeping him trotting, which I think is a good sign, too, for the fact that Christian is cognizant of this horse not having that much early speed. So that's what you have to do with the horse that you need to get out of the gate and to at least be in your hands and in a good position going forward. I was going to say, I actually downgraded. I was really bullish with Wicked again going into this race, and I downgraded him slightly watching the warm-ups. I wish he would have shown me a little bit more energy, a little bit more fluidity over this racetrack.
He's meanwhile had steady though at 5-1. Talking about the 8, Team Asmussen runner. Meanwhile, this horse, Distorted Pro, he actually ran a pretty big figure on a sloppy sealed track at Oaklawn in his 4-year-old return. He'd been off for a while, since July. It was, probably a little bit softer spot potentially than this.
Yeah, but again, you can't fault him too much. His races at Canterbury aren't very good, being a Minnesota bred, but it seems as though when he gets out of his home state, he runs much better.
9-1 right now, and maybe another alternative.
Yeah, and 6-1 with Happy as a Choice, who, as you said, came back with his best effort so far. And to be fair, those 2022 races were as a 2-year-old, so he had every right to improve his figure. And if he does it again, it puts him right in the mix. Which you think with that long of a layoff, he probably did need the race.
And yeah, breaking with a better break. How far off is he from Bourbon Bash, who was in that race, who was second?
Exactly.
Not that far.
Not that far. But he has to do it from the inside. So Ramon Vasquez, hopefully, will be aggressive.
Can Dwayne Lucas and Christian Torres looking for his 4th winner on this Friday card. Get it done with the favorite, the 5, Bourbon Bash. Matt Dinnerman, the call.
Here's Helmstad. We're ready to go. And Laroff. B minor out alertly. Distorted Pro has speed 2. Distorted Pro grabs the lead. Helmstad moving up. He claims the front end now, and Helmstad strides clear about 3/4 of a length, making a length on the inside. B minor is moving up. Distorted Pro's there as well, and now 3 runners are across the track once again. So it's Helmstad on the outside, Distorted Pro in the middle, and B minor, who is up top momentarily, easing off the duo to run in the 3rd position. Happy as a Choice next with the favorite Bourbon Bash, and Wicked again, who's parked 4 wide on the course. B minor loses a couple of spots into that turn down at the rail, and a gap of 6 to Media Mogul at the rear. A Fleet Sky has been outrun. They round the forward turn and approach the top of the lane. Helmstad on the outside with a narrow edge here. Distorted Pro second as they come off the turn. Bourbon Bash right behind the leaders with Wicked again. B minor staying on the rail, attempts to re-rally, and then comes Happy as a Choice weaving through between horses. Furlong to go. Bourbon Bash, Happy as a Choice moving after Distorted Pro, and now it is Happy as a Choice who has the lead. Bourbon Bash, Media Mogul is coming strong down the center of the track, but it's Happy as a Choice in front. Happy as a Choice gives Johnny Ortiz a double. Second home, Media Mogul. Bourbon Bash, 3rd home at 7-5, and Distorted Pro is 4th.
Back-to-back wins for this barn with the offspring of Run Happy. It was Happy and Smiling in the 8th, and now Happy is a Choice with Ramon Vasquez.
Mattress Mac might need to cut Johnny Ortiz a check here. This horse ran very well, Greg, because early on in the race, he was never in a good spot. He broke a little slow, better than the last time, but a little slow again. He had to be ridden for that 3rd position. Then he kind of had to check and wait and wait and wait. And he was fortunate, Ramon Vasquez, that horses drifted away from him and he was able to go through, and this horse responded beautifully. Really good effort, I thought, in his 2nd start back now as a 4-year-old.
Showed talent, broke his maiden at Keeneland back in 22. I mean, this was a long time. He missed all of 2023.
Yeah, it was 3-year-old campaign.
Came back in, career best effort, January 1st, and now back in the winner's circle again. This might be, it's a good field.
I agree.
Maybe an exciting prospect going forward, at least at this meet, and we're going to likely see again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this horse, Happy as a Choice. This is a good effort because we were like, I was like, look at Arcangelo's brother, he's coming. And
26-1.
I know. And he got the setup. He was the one that was closing into a pace that I didn't see materializing, but as it typically does at Oaklawn, it does materialize.
Exciting one to end things with our live coverage. Coming up on Saturday, we're going to show you what happens. It happens before we come. Does it happen before we come? No, we're on early tomorrow. I'll be on early with this race, our ABR race of the week. Jimmy Winkfield, 3-year-olds going 6 furlongs, and Linda Rice with a 3-year-old son of Good Magic, coming off a maiden win at 6.5 furlongs.
Yes, here. And, looking at this horse, he was able to run up the inside here for Linda Rice, a horse that they had shown promise, I thought, in his second start that was rained off. Now, how good was this effort? I'm not sure. It was a strung out field, so it may be better than it looks. But I do think, Iridescent is one that, albeit, first off the claim for David Jacobson, was able to win. I wouldn't dismiss him either.
5-horse field that will line up. Jimmy Winkfield, we'll have live coverage for you tomorrow. Let's wrap up the 9th. Happy is a choice, and don't see that a lot. Trainer with 2 by the same sire going back to back.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And Johnny owning this one as well. Right, not owning this one. Sorry, that's his colors. I get confused every time that Hootie's Racing runs their horses, because Johnny's, his morning outfit for his horses is the same thing. But Happy is the choice. Yeah, and a nice upset. Bourbon Bash had to settle for third in here. As we mentioned, Arcangelo's older brother, Media Mogul, rallying down the center of the racetrack, just fell short, though.
Big, though.
He ran huge. Yeah, so probably his best race to date as well.
12:60 to end things. They still have the nightcap coming up. We're going to be off air here, though, in just about 30 seconds or so. So you can find results of that on NYRABets.com. Follow along there as well. 1 race remaining in that cross-country Big 5, but finally at least a bit of an upset. We will see it tomorrow. Coverage begins on FS1 tomorrow, noon Eastern time, on from 12 to 1. And then we switch over to FS2 tomorrow, 1 to 5:30. It was Law Professor, class of the field, 6-year-old, showing he still has it in the Friday feature in New York. Rob Atras, Manny Franco with the victory, coming from off the pace, and Happy is a choice. We just showed it to you. Ramon Vasquez and John Ortiz with the win in the Friday feature from Oaklawn. Again, we'll see you tomorrow, 12 Eastern start time on FS1.